Ah, all right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Welcome to Sea Monster Live number 47, folks. Um, yeah. I kind of said that last stream that I would be taking this weekend off from streaming after doing like an almost 11-hour, basically 11-hour stream, last week. But yeah, this has been somewhat of a requested stream. Um, so I figured, figured I would accommodate. Uh, yeah, hey, Antonio. Okay, so yeah, just kind of making sure things are looking a-okay right now. Yeah. Mhm. What are your thoughts on the original monsters? Yeah, I haven't really gotten like too good of a look at them right now, but they look. I have Discord here. I may as well just kind of look at them right now. Uh, Give me a sec. So yeah, this stream that we're doing right now, as I'm kind of waiting for the uh, the guests of honor, I suppose. Um, this is going to be like this stream's going to be kind of kind of more specifically with these two in particular because they will be the main folks who will be debating this particular film. So I kind of want them to have the floor, once they get here. Um, on this little movie that came out in 2020 that was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, a video game movie, I might add. And it was a movie that I even have done a two-part series on uh, years ago. Why is it taking so long for Discord to load? I don't understand it. I don't understand. I'm trying to bring them up right now. The Discord's like taking a bit to load right now. Well, the images are loading actually. Oh, hold on. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right, Antonio. I'm pretty much looking at the images right now of your original kaiju. Um, and let me see. I do like the second one. Um, Akushu, I think is what it's called. Um, I do like that. It kind of makes me think of like makes me think of like the Troodons from that Telltale Jurassic Park video game. Like it kind of looks like he has like sort of like this ambient lighting sort of look, or bioluminescence actually. Um, I like this insectoid looking one, the fifth image. Aesthetically speaking, Tyrannosauri. Um, yeah, it kind of looks very insectoid looking. Anyway, it kind of looks like he's got like armor looking going on. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it makes sense for that to be the main inspiration. Let me see. Let's see what else. Um, The others pretty much look all right. I will say. The last one, Hishi, I think it's what it says. Um, is that supposed to be like is it supposed to be like a snake or a bird? Because the Hishi, like I think of like hiss as like like what a snake does, but this one, but it kind of looks a bit bird-like. Is it like a mix of the two, or is it? Um, I mean, it's not a bad design. I do think these kaiju designs look neat. Um, Thoughts on the human characters. I guess it's mainly just in terms of the storytelling for the human characters. Like, because I don't really have much to say design wise, but they look neat. They definitely fit the art style rather well, and I definitely appreciate that you incorporated uh, Captain Gordon from Final Wars into this. Like he actually does transition into he translates into your art style like really well here. Like I always kind of figured like if Final I could totally picture like some Final Wars being like this crazy anime type thing and or manga sort of thing. And yeah, I think he captured it pretty Douglas Gordon really well. Um, the other characters, I honestly don't really have a whole lot to say about, but they do. But they look neat. You but hey, Minecraft World. All right, so we're gonna get first. Yes, we got Mr. Kuru of the House of Kaiju. How you doing, sir?
You know,
Give me a sec.
I think I finally figured out what Xenodrome meant when he said Hollywood will defile your favorite franchises. I had forgotten most of this movie. Partially due to knowingly repressing it from my subconscious. But it's worse for me because Monster Hunter is just straight up my favorite video game series.
Okay. Well, before we kind of get to that, let's kind of. We also got.
There he is.
Vic.
Yo, how's it going?
Hey. Doing pretty well. So.
Morning.
Yep.
Morning.
Yep. Morning. I'm morning. Yeah. So. Yep. So I figured I'd have you two on here. You guys would for you two to have the floor before I have this be a more open stream. It could should the debate, if you will. So. All right, so yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, we are going to be doing we hope this is a little bit stream. We're going to let these two have the floor about Monster Hunter 2020, the Paul W.S. Anderson movie starring his wife Milla Jovovich. It's a movie that that kind of just sort of came and went in the year 2020, like at the end of 2020 almost. Like it just kind of happened, and there was talk about it. I mean, especially if you're a Monster Hunter fan, but for the most part, like in terms of the zeitgeist, it just didn't really leave much of a footprint at all. I did an essay video two-parter on it back a few years ago, so you could pretty much y'all can check that out pretty much. But we're not talking about what I think of the movie. Although I've made it pretty clear in the past what I thought of it. It's about these two folks here, Kuru and Vic.
What's up?
Right. So I guess I will go first with my opening thesis, and then you can start with yours, Vic, and we'll just go from there. So, as I said at the start of this stream, Monster Hunter is my favorite video game series. Not only is it's one I've been playing since I've been playing this series for the last 10 years, so I like to think that I know my stuff when it comes to it. And not just that. So not only does this film hurt just from a perspective of it's just straight up a bad film, it also hurts because it is a bad adaptation of Monster Hunter as a game. It guts the series of any of what makes the games special, reducing the monsters in the series into, ironically, just stereotypical movie monsters instead of how they're treated in the games as actual animals that are just a part of this world. And I could stomach the movie if it actually stayed faithful, but it doesn't, and it makes this movie even worse for it. And this is before you get into all of the stuff that in the craftsmanship of the film that makes it just an eyesore, like the seizure-inducing editing.
Oh God, yeah.
I think that's my opening thesis done. TLDR, it's not just a bad adaptation, it's a bad movie. And Vic,
All right.
now you can go with yours.
All right.
Yeah. So I've only recently, like in the past week or so, have like gotten back to watching the film. As when it was first coming out in 2020, leading up to it, I was sort of always on the fence with it, as I have only surface level knowledge of the Monster Hunter series as a video game. Like the most I only ever like consumed of it was like any video from I think like Oceans on YouTube, who does all the lore stuff. So I only watched like a few of his vids when it comes to like monster descriptions or lore stuff. Um, and when it came out, I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it when it came on the streaming, like sometime after. First time I watched it, I was like, it's all right as a movie. And then I sort of left it at that. And it was only recently, like like I said, the past week when I came back to it because I was just looking for like a fix of like a monster movie. I had rewatched some of the Meg movies and stuff like that. Um, so I was just going through, revisiting a few of different monster movies I've watched in the past, and Monster Hunter came up. Um, and then when I watched it, I was surprised by how much I ended up liking it, um, both as a film and just um, as a look into the world of Monster Hunter. And I just came away really liking it. I've rewatched it twice now, um, both in preparation for this and as well as just because I just, like I said, I ended up really liking it. I feel that as a film on its own, it is actually pretty good. Um, as an adaptation of Monster Hunter, um, I'm more than welcome to talk with someone who knows his stuff. As to where it got things wrong, because I'm sure it has. As I've also watched the reviews of it from both Monster Hunter enthusiasts as well as like the average movie reviewer here and there. Um, but as I've said, for what it is, which I can go in depth later as to what I see it as, I think it's a pretty good film, and that's about it for me.
All right. Yeah, and just as a caveat, I pretty much have not watched the movie since I like red boxed it like that one day. By the way, so I only
I
watched it one
haven't heard
time.
Redbox as a name in years. Holy crap, that just aged you.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
I haven't seen
yeah.
a Redbox. They aren't around where I live. Whoa.
You could like where I'm at. You could still see like the husks of like where the kiosks Redbox kiosks, like
Those
essentially.
are like those movie vending machines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oftentimes,
I sometimes see them outside of a
anytime
Walmart.
I oftentimes see them outside of like Walgreens or CVS. That was where I saw them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my case, like you could go, well, like you've seen, I would have seen like some husks of them, like either at,
I'm surprised they're
um,
still around.
well, no, the kiosks aren't operational. I mean, I mean, you can still rent. I think they're still around for digital, but like the kiosks are like, they're just kind of like sitting around. You could find one sitting around like at like outside of like a 7-Eleven, but they're not in operation anymore because they just don't do physical stuff anymore.
Makes you wonder if those
But
movies still are in there.
no. I mean, you could see where through the screen, where like the screen used to be, and you can see all the machinations, like kind of like how the discs come out, like the battle droids come out of like the MTTs and Phantom Menace. Pretty much.
Okay.
But no, there's none left.
All right. Well,
but yeah, needless to say, like, yeah, I've only watched the movie once, and it was like years ago, so it's not like super fresh in my mind. So I'm gonna be serving as like a moderator between
yeah.
for this debate. Um, you know, but just kind of speaking for myself in terms of experience, like I'm not really super that familiar with the Monster Hunter franchise. Like I never really played any of the games. I just kind of know of have some knowledge through osmosis about some elements from it. But I am pretty familiar with Paul W.S. Anderson, his body of work in general. So
I'm in like the opposite boat. This is the only W.S. Anderson thing I've ever consumed, but I know Monster Hunter.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can even tell you this much: this isn't even like the worst movie he's made. Okay, so that's, I mean, that
Are
should
most
just
of
tell
his
you like
works
the
like
depths
this?
of hell we go to.
I
Unless,
mean, the only other films I've watched of his are Alien versus Predator, some of the Resident Evil films, and Event Horizon. Right? I think that's one of like his only original works, Event Horizon.
Yeah,
But
Event Horizon's probably the best film that he's made, and that I mean potentially. I mean to kind of revisit that one at some point. But yeah, I mean I've seen his Resident Evil movies pretty much. The final chapter is probably like what was like one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's just so. Yeah, and Monster Hunter kind of carries over a lot of like what made that movie as horrible as it is.
right.
Especially from the action standpoint. Yeah, he also did a Three Musketeers movie. In the loosest sense of the word of the name, but let's not stray too far away from it. Black Rudy wants us to get the show on the road.
Yeah, no,
awesome.
makes sense. So I guess we'll just start with my first and the biggest issue. This film is an isekai, and that there's no purpose behind it being an isekai, that Artemis just being a character in the world of Monster Hunter can't already serve. It not only that, but it also just, to me, it's completely pointless and it's unfounded in both game and film. Sorry, no, in the games, there's like nothing like it. The only time portals as a thing are ever in Monster Hunter is if they're doing crossovers with a series that already has magic. So, and oftentimes it's that franchise's magical elements that are being employed, not the is it yet not Monster Hunter having any magical elements, because it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see how it can be an issue when it comes to especially in the wider scope of how video game movies are often made. It can also be extended to like any other kind of adaptation to where they make it essentially an isekai. Um, and I myself can definitely see this being a better film by just having them be characters in Monster Hunter World. Um, and I mean, looking at what the director intended for it, he essentially wanted it to be the equivalent of a player starting up the game for the first time, um, which is like what every director says when it comes to making an isekai for an adaptation of it. Um, and like I said, I would have preferred like having it just be in the Monster Hunter world, which I think they would have pulled off pretty good, judging by what they did do for the Monster Hunter aspect of the world we see. Um, it was my favorite aspects of it. But for what it is, which is like what we said, it's an isekai. Keeping that in mind, I thought it pulled it off pretty well. I did enjoy the characters of the soldiers, and Artemis, of course, being like my favorite one of the bunch, and the one who we get to see the journey take place with. I found myself really liking Artemis, and I enjoy her struggles in trying to get back home once she's stuck in the Monster Hunter world. And I think it does a good job of cutting through the chase with the soldier stuff because all the scenes with them go by pretty quickly, but we still get a sense of the bond between them and how they work together. And then once they're gone, we sort of empathize and sympathize with the struggles Artemis is facing. Because outside of being a isekai, it is also a survival story, which I enjoy, and also think they pulled off pretty well.
Well, regardless of execution, which we will get there, I every single aspect of this, being an isekai doesn't. That's not. I'm trying to think of the proper way to phrase this. Everything that you just said, which the film was trying to do, it didn't have to be an isekai to do it. Because they could have very easily just had Artemis as a rookie or something that was on that boat when the Diablos attack. And that's and like her and a bunch of her friends are get thrown off the boat alongside the other hunter who, and it could have been a survival story in that angle, and we could have still gotten their sense of camaraderie. If anything, it might have actually benefited the film because then we get more scenes of them on the boat, and you still get the whole angle of them trying to get to what may very well just kind of be quote unquote home in this scenario, that being the boat. So being an isekai just doesn't serve a purpose that being just already a character in this world doesn't already kind of solve for you. A lot of the best isekais, at least the ones I've seen, tend to make it relevant in some way that the character is from another world. A bit of a weird example, Sword Art Online Abridged. In that Kirito, it's outright mentioned multiple times that being stuck in this game is the best thing that's ever happened to him. And it's like people are asking why he tries so hard to get to this completion so everyone can go home, and it's very essential to his development. But that's not there in Monster Hunter. The scene on the boat could have been, you could have gotten rid of everything in the army just to have the stuff on the boat be longer, and that way you still get a sense of Artemis's dynamic with her group, and we actually get to see more of the other characters instead of them all just kind of coming in as half-baked some bodies later on.
Yeah, that would be very much true. And I think, like I said, it could have been like in a few cases a better film and entirely a different film we gotten. Since I imagine with that it would have been like you seeing their bond, and it could have been something to where like you see it grow along with the story. With what we get though, as I've said, it is able to effectively show off the bond they do have, as well as set up certain character traits with Artemis that we see play out throughout the story, and how she herself grows a bond with the hunter character,
I'd like
and we see that play out throughout the film.
I'd like to ask you a question really quick, Vic.
Yeah.
Outside of Artemis, can you tell me anything about the rest of the cast? About her army buddies?
Other than just their camaraderie, outside of a few things they may like and like a few small skill sets, nothing too in depth about them outside of their relation to Artemis. Like they're sort of used to push Artemis's story along, so they're not given all that much depth. Um, so I can agree that with their character work, there could have been more.
Because there's hardly any. This movie has way too many characters in order to properly develop them given its length and what it's actually focusing on. There are not enough. If anything, they're half-baked nobodies, essentially. Just kind of there to be bodies for the monsters to pick off.
Yeah, and that's very much true. Though, as I've said, the purpose of all that is more so to put focus on the relationship between Artemis and the main hunter. Um,
In
which
what
I
in
do.
what regard? Because how do you explain what you mean when you say that like it's meant to rephrase restate
So
your point again real quick?
so all we get for all the soldiers with Artemis is that um we see their bond throughout the first in the first half of the movie, when they're on the ground in the real world or our world, whatever they call it. And then with the new world in the Monster Hunter world, we see their camaraderie. And when they eventually die to all the monsters and Artemis is alone, we sort of it's a way to sympathize with her character, in that we see that she's alone, she's the lone survivor, and she's lost her team. And then she has to form this new bond with the hunter, um, and they start off at a rocky relationship as they have to learn to trust each other in order to survive this new world that she's in, to where she's now alone. And we see this new bond grow throughout the film.
So you're saying that the camaraderie between Artemis and her squad is meant to enhance the relationship between her and the hunter?
In a way, yes, through like their deaths push along her story, to where we sympathize with her plight and her struggle of being alone in this new world now. And
Okay,
then
I see now I see
yeah.
what you're saying here, but my response is then, at least in the whole appeal to emotion angle that you seem to be trying to run with here, the characters are not developed enough that their absence is felt. There isn't a hole where they are left, because again, they aren't any characters. You don't learn anything about them before they get slaughtered by the Diablos and the Nersilla swarm. Oh my god, I will get to the Nursilla. But it's just everything that you're trying to say. It's just I can see your argument, but then it's just the film doesn't develop these characters enough for them to be for their absence to be felt, is what I'm saying. So the emotional impact of them is ultimately completely gone because again, they just aren't characters. And if what I was saying, if we had more time in this world instead of like with them on the boat, I feel like it definitely could have helped with both saying more about this world and also my wording is very clunky right now, but has my point come across? That
Yeah.
these characters are just not developed enough. And I can say that objectively because, again, what can you tell me about them? And yeah. So I guess outside of that, since we'll just go on to the next thing, this is where the biggest problem I had with this film in my viewing experience came from the editing for this movie. Oh my god. The first thought was, I'm gonna have a seizure. Because in the scene where Artemis is talking to her group about, I think, the storm, and when they're going to go find, I think it's called Bravo Team, there's like 8 cuts in 5 seconds. I counted. And it's like every time someone finishes a sentence, it cuts to another angle of the same characters talking. Did you have an 8-year-old drink an entire cup of coffee before they edited this film? Jesus. And then in the scene where like the storm is coming, there's like 10 of them in like again like 5 to 8 seconds. I counted.
Mm-hmm.
Also, and I'm gonna be like a stickler here. That storm and those runes and stuff are not a thing at all in Monster Hunter. So that's just completely made up for this series. Because they had to think of some way to make this an isekai, because even though it doesn't make any sense, my god. And then the scene where they're actually in the storm is a worse version of the scene in Godzilla vs. Kong where they go into the Hollow Earth for the first time, because it is still just as like nauseating and seizure inducing. It felt like I was having a strobe light blown in my face. And it was miserable.
Yeah, I definitely can't say that I felt that way.
The editing in general, even just
Yeah.
like if unironically, if they fixed the thing that would keep me from watching this film the most is its editing, because it's just my god.
Yeah, it is pretty heavy-handed at times with some of the cuts in between shots. But yeah, this would just be entirely a me thing. There are certain times where I do like it because it feels very fast and connect with some of the action scenes. So that's what I liked about it. Like the only good things about it, I would say, is that they still keep in line with like having the shots be readable. Just using a few like cinematography tools and techniques. I could still read the actions pretty clearly.
It
But yeah,
treads a
it's pretty
line.
heavy.
Is it comprehensible to an extent? in a way, I can sort of see what you're saying, but what I will say is that it toes the line into being almost as bad as like this. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but this is Revenge of the Fallen levels of editing for me.
Ooh.
And I had trouble like following the action. Like maybe it was because of how late I watched the film as well. That's compounding that problem because I had to watch it pretty late at night because I was doing stuff early on the day, so I only had time before I went to bed. But even then, the action scenes weren't very well choreographed, partially because they didn't have to be, because it just is so many fast cuts when there don't need to be any, and you can still accomplish the goal of like what you're saying that like they tried to do with like it being an ambush or it being a fast-paced action scene and still keeping the action in a readable sense. I'm not an editor, so I don't really know that kind of lingo, but I guess one of my point is saying even in the action scenes, it doesn't need to be as crazy as it is. In part because even in a fast-paced action scene like that, you need the action to be comprehensible with solid editing and choreography. And this film doesn't do that compared to, say, a film like Bullet Train or Pacific Rim, which have very good action choreography, with Pacific Rim being the monsters fighting something that is vaguely humanoid in shape, and Bullet Train just having a lot of claustrophobic action scenes mirroring the ones that are in this movie with Artemis and the Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Yeah, I can definitely get that. Because
Yeah, thanks.
yeah.
Thank you, Rooney, for understanding what I'm saying. I'm not very good at articulating points in real time, so thank you for at least understanding. Yeah, Rooney was just saying that the brain processes information in a certain way, so a cut needs to be long enough for the brain to understand everything that's happening in the whole image. Thank you, Rooney. You stated my point in a better. You articulated my point for me. Thank you. I will give the movie one of this one crumb. The scene where they find the remains of Bravo Team and what happened to it after the Rathalos got to them is admittedly pretty solid, although I gotta ask what the Rathalos was even doing out there, because that thing is at the tower through most of the film, so why on earth is it going out into the middle of the desert? It would have made more sense for it to be the Diablos. Speaking of which, the Diablos. Why is it black? And this is not no, this is an actual thing. So the Diablos in there's a few different types of Diablos in the world of Monster Hunter. The Diablos in this movie is a variation called the Black Diablos. And for context, Black Diablos are a species that is it's a variation because when female Diablos go into heat, their scales turn pitch black. So what you're seeing every time you watch this movie in the Diablos is one that's horny on main. Which is very weird. Why are there... Rooney, I'm so happy you got the joke as well. Why they're black? I will. Because... And I also gotta ask, am I Mandela affecting myself into thinking that there were two of them in that opening scene where they attack the boat?
No, there were two of them.
Where does that second one even go to throughout this entire film? It's just there for that scene, and then it's gone.
Yeah, because we see them both chasing the boat after, and I guess one of them just decided to stay and
Whose audio
attack the
demon is
hunter.
present in this stream? That is twice now.
What demon?
Audio demon, just very weird mic noises are happening.
Mm.
I don't know if it happens a third time. I'm gonna point the finger at one of you. So I was very confused why they're using Black Diablos for this. The only justification I could think of is that Wes Anderson, because the aspect of this being a Diablos that is in heat doesn't ever come up. The only thing you probably could justify is the Diablos' aggression, but in the games, Diablos are a naturally very aggressive and very territorial species. Because they just are. Fun little fact, and this is another thing, they characterize the Diablos in this film as a very aggressive carnivore. You want to know something fun about Diablos? It's an herbivore. They specifically are known in the games for eating cactus. In fact, at least I'm quoting Oceanus here, but most of his sources come from art books and stuff, so essentially canon. Diablos are known for taking care of and maintaining cactus patches within their territory, and oftentimes where those cactus patches are defines the shape of their territory, and we don't ever see the Diablos. Like, it's just patrolling the deserts doing whatever, and we don't ever really get to see that, which could have just been one thing to help kind of imply these are not just monsters, these are animals, and these are not just like soldiers fighting these monsters for the good of humanity. No, they're hunters trying to maintain an ecosystem in the cases that it becomes unbalanced, which is the whole thing with Monster Hunter. Is a running theme of the games is humanity's place in the wider like world of nature, if that makes sense. That's the theme of Monster Hunter, is humanity's place in nature. And yeah, so the only reason it's a Black Diablos is the rule of cool, which fuck you, Diablos is already cool enough. It's also one of the things of like brand recognition. I'm also confused why they use Diablos for the poster instead of Rathalos. Because, you know, Rathalos is the flagship of the series. So, yeah. One other small thing I will give this film. The monsters, at least, aside from one, look like their games. That is definitely a Diablos. That is a Rathalos. That is a Cephalos. That is an Apsaros. That is a Gormagala. That is not a Nursilla. Because oh geez, that's gonna kill me. Another thing about this movie's editing, the cut to the hunter after the cut to that shot of the hunter that we have after Artemis's army ballad with her group, I was like, hold on, that's the cut they went with?
What exactly about the cut?
I'm trying to remember what exactly there was about it, but I just remember just like being, what the hell? Because it's so sudden and jarring. It's
Say the part again.
It was just something that stuck out of my mind. It was there whenever I was taking my notes. That after Artemis and her group sing like their army ballad for the first time, it cuts to the hunter, and I just was thrown off completely by that one singular shot, enough that it made me pause the film for like 30 seconds. I don't even remember anything about it. That there was just that cut specifically was super weird. I think
was it like? sorry if I cut you off. Was it like a shot of the hunter, like kind of watching them, or is he just like doing something else?
Yes, he was like off. He was like a fair distance away from them, and he was like in like the hole in one of the rocks, watching obviously their group.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So is this supposed to like convey that he is aware of these people being there right now? It's just the way that they cut to it is just really
Yes.
awkward.
does it accomplish its goal? Yes, through technicalities alone, though.
Okay.
I would have to disagree since the shot itself it's like an establishing shot, and you can see the hunter in it, and then it transitions to him looking through a telescope at
I'm talking about specifically the cut before the one you're talking about, which is from Artemis to him.
Let me see.
And again, I'd have to pull up the movie really quick, which honestly I probably should have done. So if you may give me a moment. I guess
Yeah, whatever you need to do.
also, I don't know how you do it, but I might send you a few images later. I don't know how you pull them up. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
You would have to do like screen share or something like that.
Yeah, I'd have to hang on.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for a notification on my screen for if you have it ready.
I'm currently trying to pull up the cut just so I can better explain what's going on. I don't know why this one is I'm hung up on so much, but I'm just doing something I also should have really done beforehand. Okay, I'm finally here at the scene where they're singing, and then
Okay.
let me just see. I think it was more on the audio side of things because silent, it feels less jarring. All right, you know what? I just replayed that thing on my end. I will like go and say this was probably just a late thing from me being late at night. So I will just kind of move on from that one. But the point I'm making here is editing in this film is bad. Like really bad. The first scene, the first part of the chase also is another example of this film's really bad editing with just an unnecessary amount of cuts being made from action, from like thing happening to thing happening. And something else I will say is that it was around here that I started realizing just how much it being an isekai honestly irks me, because it could have very easily just been, like you said, a survival film. And it really could have just honed in on how dangerous the monsters here are. The fact that they're just slaughtering everyone almost to a man. Just how dangerous the monsters truly are. And it also, in a way, also in perspective, showcases the hunter's skill and the fact that they're able to take on these creatures.
Yeah. I would say that on its own, it definitely does have a way of portraying the danger of the monsters. And only speaking back to the Nursilla part when it comes to the design,
I
in
will
the
talk
film,
about Nursilla
given
in a minute, because that is... I had trouble figuring out what monster this was before I watched the movie. But when I figured out it was Nursilla, I was like, excuse me? So we will, because I'm going to show you, I will send a few DMs, like a few photos to Sea Monster in a moment, and I'll probably just have to pull them up on screen share or something. But
Yeah.
Before we get to that, you're saying that you feel as though the film still pulls off showcasing the dangers of these monsters.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you are technically, you are correct there, so that's true. It does showcase that they're dangerous by actually being able to kill off multiple members of the army, which obviously army members have come with some degree of skill. However, they also are full of a bunch of skills that aren't really suited for fighting these monsters. Which goes back into, if this film wasn't an isekai, you could have had them all be like inexperienced hunters on their first very real mission. And even then, the monsters still completely slaughter them, even when they're given the proper training, which I feel would have been far more effective in showcasing the danger of these creatures.
That definitely would have been effective in its own right.
Because the weapons that they use to take on the monsters, as shown in the film and in the games, are massive.
Yeah.
Sometimes as big as the monsters themselves, or at the very least their body parts. And yeah. So I mentioned earlier that all the monsters, so yeah, I guess my point is you are technically correct, yes, but not for the reasons you might think, and also just yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was an effective way to set that up because, like, to a general audience, having a trained elite group of soldiers being taken out helps emphasize the threats of this world. And then later on, when we see Artemis train with the Hunter, both in just helping her technically fight the monsters and growing their trust and their bond throughout the film, like it effectively portrays how she adapts to the new dangers of this world and how dangerous the monsters are.
So
And
you're
when it
saying that the film having the army members be slaughtered is effective for general audience members in showcasing the danger of these creatures? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and I think even without like the general audience reaction, like, or I don't know, because like
What?
I don't know if I
Okay,
want to say that
this is
like
like
any
my own
audience.
personal thing. What general audience members would see this movie though? And that's just, I get what I can see the argument. However, that is also, it didn't have to go into that angle in order to showcase their threat. You could have had far. You're technically correct again, but that's the only thing I can give you because you're saying that the director accomplished what he was setting out to do. I'm having a moment here where I need to get my thoughts in order.
Yeah, you're good.
We're about to get to the thing that we're about to get to the fucking Ursula, and that's like all my head is thinking about is that friggin' spider. Oh my
Let's see.
goodness. I'm having a moment here because I woke up early for this. Normally I would only just now be waking up, so yeah. Yeah. My one thing I will say is that you're technically correct. However, that what you're wanting the director to do could have very easily just been done in a different way by just having these members be hunters of an already established group. Because then you could have had more scenes of their camaraderie, probably also downsize the group to 4, considering that's the amount of hunters that you can have at most in a singular hunt in Monster Hunter is 4. And that way you tighten down both, you downsize on the characters you need to establish, and you also are given more time to establish their characterization, so it is more effective in both making their absence felt and also additionally establishing the danger of these creatures.
Something I want to ask just about the party of 4 thing. Is that a game mechanic, or is it also like a lore rule for the guild of
Both,
Monster Hunters?
actually.
It's both? Awesome. Cool. Just wanted to clarify that.
So I can actually, it's a fun little thing that I could actually talk about. Yeah, so originally it was just a game mechanic due to the limitations of the PS2, but then it was later said that the reasons in universe why they only ever bring 4 is due to the incident involving a crisis with a monster called the Monoblos, which is to establish what that looks like. Diablos kind of have the Triceratops-like face. Monoblos has a Styracosaurus-esque face, but the rest of the body is largely similar. So just imagine that. But it was said that during this hunt, 5 hunters went out to go kill this Monoblos. Only 1 died, and it was one of the hunter's wife. And ever since then, it's been believed that sending more than 5 hunters on a...
Okay.
Sorry, that my dad just came in my room saying that he was leaving. Apologies. Nah, my dad just came. Nah, Rooney, I didn't die. My dad just came in say he was going to go take care of something. So just saying goodbye to me before he left. What was I saying again? Oh, yes.
You were saying that sending more than 5 in a group.
Yeah, the only times they actually send in more than 5 hunters in a Rooney, shut up. The only times that hunters are sent in in a crisis. So the only time more than 4 hunters are sent in is when it is something that is end of the world scenario, which is very rare. More often than not, 4 hunters is more than enough for a singular assignment. So, yes.
That's why the soldiers died, because it was a party of 6.
Shit,
it's lore accurate.
He has a point. But I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think Wes Anderson knew about that singular... do you think that they had... Do you think Wes Anderson went and read up on what is presumably an art book exclusive to Japan, and that singular obscure bit of information that I didn't even know of for like the first 7 years of being a Monster Hunter fan? Or do you think he just did that?
I cannot confirm or deny. Like, going off rip, like, bro probably just likes the games. And
I mean, that was
because actually he's been holding on to the rights for a long while.
Yeah, I remember back when this thing was being announced. Monster Hunter fans were not happy because some test footage got leaked of a Rathalos and a Gore Magala fighting in a mall. And it set everyone off for one reason. not only was Rathalos walking weirdly, for one, both Rathalos and Diablos do not wing walk like they do in this film. Those wings are off the ground almost completely. Diablos uses theirs for digging, which this time Diablos just kind of goes into the ground, doesn't dig at all. And Rathalos again does the wing walking thing. I don't know why they do this, but the other thing that set people off, this is a silly one, was the black dragon. That's called a Gormagala,
Hmm.
and it had eyes, which sets people off because Gormagala is known as being blind. Like, it has no eyes. They're covered. And yeah, Rooney, he said, quote, so the game mechanic got turned into an in-lore superstition / tradition. That's actually a really creative workaround. Yeah, the Monster Hunter dev team does stuff like that a lot. A lot of times scrapped monsters will be considered canon as just extinct species.
That's super neat.
And sometimes they're later used for the basis of other creatures. Anyways, so after the Diablo scene gets rid of a few of them, then we get to, for some reason, this one irks me to a special degree. The reason why is because of Nursilla. This is straight up, Nursilla is one of my favorite monsters in the series. I love this thing. It is such a creepy spider-like monster it's so just eerie. I remember when I first was introduced to Nursilla, and it was so different to everything you had fought up to that point. And in this movie, they turn it into a worse version of the bugs from Starship Troopers and the Terminids from Helldivers 2, which doesn't make any sense because Nursilla are solitary creatures and also are not termites. Also, the Nursilla ironically, unlike every other monster in this movie, the Nursilla are undersized. Whereas every other monster in this film is comically large compared to their game counterparts, which reaches its climax when it comes to the Rathalos. I'm actually going to screen share something really quick, because I want to show this off for a moment.
All right.
So, one moment. I'm going to have to get these images downloaded. But while I'm talking about that, I'm going to talk a bit about Nursilla and just kind of establish how much this thing's existence pisses me off in the movie compared to its appearance in the games. So,
yeah.
I'm currently getting the images for you, but the reason why Nursilla specifically riles me up so much is because not only is there no reason for a Nursilla to be in the desert, they are not a desert-dwelling species. In the games, okay, they technically are, but it's a subspecies of one. But I can sure tell that it's not the variation that the games use for desert-dwelling Nursilla, because the spines are purple. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
I'm well aware of
Nursilla images. Sorry.
Yeah, I will say this is that, yeah, Rooney does have. I'm just reading chat right now as we're doing this, so he does have something of a point. Like, adaptation arguments can be tricky depending on how accurate they wanted the story to be. I acknowledge that. Like, you don't have to be one-to-one with the thing you're adapting in order for it to be a good adaptation, but at the very least, staying faithful is important. Like, remaining faithful is yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Is remaining faithful is important. Is oh my goodness, having like a moment here. Yeah. Yeah, a good example, the Sonic movies. Those are faithful, but they're also doing their own thing. But there is recognizable imagery that a Sonic fan would catch on to. Now,
Yeah.
to pull up Nursilla, the first thing I'm going to mention is, again, this thing's size, because you know how in the game, in the film, they're roughly the size of a person.
It depends. It varies throughout the film.
Well, most of the ones that we see displayed are human-sized. Yeah. Oh my god. I downloaded these images and they just aren't showing up. And I just am unable to pull them up at all. Like, what the heck? What the hell? I am... Hang on. Slides and PDF. Sorry, folks on the stream. I'm having like technical difficulties right now for some reason.
Okay. Right.
They're like, if you take the base compartment of like a semi truck.
One moment. Give me a sec. I guess I'll just... It's funny because they have a... Hang on. I'm gonna... It says they're in my downloads, so what the... Yeah. Animus is... You know what? I'm just gonna share my screen instead of trying to upload these images normally. I'm just gonna...
Alright. Yeah,
This might be
I'm looking at...
This might be a little clunky. So I'm just gonna pull them up right here. And let me know if you're having any issues. Is it coming up okay? Actually, I can just watch the stream to see this.
Alright, I'm gonna add the screen share to stay. Alright, here we go. I'm seeing it. Yeah, it looks like the same images that you sent me in DMs, so
yeah, they are. So yeah. These were used back in like the 4 Ultimate days to kind of just showcase how big the monsters are. Some of the newer cast, and just as shown here, Nursilla is 80 times the size of a tarantula, which at least seems to be accurate. At least one that's like 4.5 inches in size. What tarantula they're using as a base, I actually don't know. I'd be curious to find that out. But we very clearly see the height and length of the Nursilla established. It's almost a perfect square of 27 feet in height and 31 feet in length. I don't know about you, but the Nursilla in the films does not look like that. Does not look that big. And then we get to see the this is our Nursilla from the front. Side note, I love this render from Wilds. Like, holy crap, it is flawless. And then you have the original render from back in 4. Again, just can't get enough of it. And then we get to the one from the movie.
Yeah, pretty much looking at this, I swear,
all of the color is drained from the design.
Yeah. Just kind of speaking for myself here, since it's been years since I've even watched the movie, pretty much, with something like Diablos or Rathalos, those at least kind of stood out to me design wise. The Nursilla, it's not until I just looking at this image right now that's all now starting to be like, yeah, this thing really does just look like the bug from Starship Troopers.
They gutted one of my favorite monsters in the series.
Yeah,
No
it looks really
joke,
generic.
Nursilla. Like, and this is an MCUification, Rooney, because this is like the most recent rendition of Nursilla. Look at the colors. Look at how much it pops. It looks like it's wearing a giant cloak, which in a way it is.
Yeah. Is there even like some bioluminescence as well for the Nursilla in the games? Because I feel like they could have added something like that to the Nursilla for the film so that they stood out a little more.
Not actually. The closest thing to bioluminescence that you see is like the crystalline spikes that I'm showing.
Well, that's what I was talking about. That's what I was referring to.
Those aren't like those don't glow. They're just natural. They're crystallized poison. Because pools of like literally what just toxins exist in certain tropical forests, and those can crystallize and harden, and those become. I will give it the design this. The spines are at least present in this design, but for one, I had trouble even telling that the skin that Nursilla wears is present here. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about Nursilla as a design. What you're seeing is obviously, I mentioned a few times that it's wearing a cloak, and that's because I'm pulling up this Wilds render because it's the most effective at showcasing this. The tattered skin that it's wearing is actually, it's skinned another monster and is wearing it as armor. Specifically a monster by the name of the Gypceros. I'm not joking. It is functionally a giant rubber chicken. The reason why that's relevant is because Nursilla are actually weak to thunder as an element, like electricity. And so what they've learned is that the rubbery hide of a Gypceros actually helps as an insulator. And so Gypceros have become the natural prey of Nursilla to the point that in their nests, the primary thing that they find are wrapped up dead Nursilla. Wrapped up dead Gypceros. One other important thing to mention, and I'm going to mention this again before I stop sharing my screen, is like not even like outside of like the colors, the face of this Nursilla is different. Like it's elongated for some reason.
Yeah.
The Zilla of Monster Hunter designs. God, yeah. And I'm probably gonna share my screen again later. For a few additional things, but the size inconsistencies in this film drive me up the wall. It's like it's like the most innocuous details, but the Monster Hunter universe in general is so heavily curated and like it's so well defined and tightly knit that even things like this cause the whole thing to unravel. I just went off on a whole tangent about Nursilla. Vic, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, because I know you've been, because even outside of the debate right now, you said how they butchered the Nursilla design, and to an extent, I can definitely agree that it's lost its own charm from the video games, because it is a very cool design in the games. And the only thing I'll say is that when it comes to how it's used in the movie, I would say the design it went with is effective as being this darker, more creepy design. And it helps the way it was depicted on screen as this basically like hive nesting. I don't even know if it's accurate to say arachnid, but just because it's a spider monster, I'll just say like
Rooney
He's
just said
basically
Mozilla of MH Designs. Careful, Vic's gonna like it out of spite. He already is. He already is.
no, it's
He's
not even
already-
spite thing. I just like personally, like this is like subjective thing. I do like the movie design as it is. Um, and I would say it's effective. Um, given how it was
Is it
used,
effective
because
at what it is doing? Maybe, but it's not Nursilla. It's it, it's just a generic bug monster. It's not Nursilla because, as I also said when I first mentioned it, Nursilla are solitary creatures. They do not hunt in large hives like this. The only time more than one Nursilla is ever found is oftentimes when you're in the nest and all of its babies start swarming your feet.
in that case, actually, that helps the case of that one scene when Link is
aren't-
in the
It does
nest.
make me curious though, like when the last guy dies and all those Nursilla eggs pop out. I mean, to an extent, I could get that, but that doesn't change the fact that those other Nursilla are the size of. We don't ever see a Nursilla that's the game size, so I can only assume that these movie Nursilla are the adults of this kind of take.
Mm-hmm.
So by that logic, then it would just be one of those in the nest, which, yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's my only thing. That
Is it effective? Are you technically correct? Yes, but it doesn't change the fact that going back to the adaptation angle, it guts one of, I feel, what was in a way a monster that for a few years was literally one of a kind. It was the only spider. It's only recently that they started adding a few additional spiders, and I am so happy because all of the spiders are awesome. But the OG is still the best.
yeah.
All right.
This is also their nest looks like that one Alien versus Predator poster.
Which one are we talking here?
The I'm trying to
talk about like the movie, one of the movies, or the games.
hang on, I'm wondering which poster am I thinking of, because I remember one of them fighting in like this cavern and there's just like corpses everywhere. Was it a poster for Requiem?
Let me see. Let me find out. Give me a sec.
I'm
Alien
giving a little
versus
quick
Predator.
look through.
Because I'm not finding the poster anyways. I'm not finding the poster, but I know what I'm talking about. Actually,
Could it be
might
the
be
Halloween Horror Nights poster?
Halloween Horror Nights poster?
Because I remember they did something for Halloween Horror Nights, which I went to. It was awesome.
No. Honestly, I might be thinking of just an Alien movie.
Species?
Oh, you mean Alien Covenant? Like the poster for that?
It might
I
where
was
it's
also
got,
thinking that
Covenant,
one.
honestly.
where let me pull it up. Where it kind of looks like. Let me just pull it.
Yep,
Like
it's Covenant.
the
It's
poster
Covenant.
for Alien Covenant is. The Covenant poster is pretty awesome, actually. It really
Yeah,
it looks like.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just in my head, I was like, this feels like something they'd use in an Alien film. And
Yeah.
one thing that also kind of came up is another point that kind of goes with Nursilla. All of the other designs are actually fairly loyal to their in-game counterparts, like to an impressive extent. So the fact that Nursilla is so different makes it all the more jarring. Sea Monster, you said it yourself. You hardly even you didn't even mention Nursilla by name in your review.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm pretty. Did you check my video? Because
Yes, I actually
I'm
did.
trying.
I watched them just because I was curious what someone who isn't a fan of these games has to say. And yeah, you did not mention Nursilla by name once.
Wow. Yeah.
which to me was just kind of all the damning evidence I needed that they gutted my boy.
Yeah. And Minecraft World is pretty much saying like how Nursilla's like the outlier because like apparently like the other creature designs for the
Yeah,
monsters in
That
the movie
I noticed that too. My point has been more so on Nursilla's design and just explaining why game Nursilla is good, movie Nursilla is bad.
Yeah.
It's
Then we
a
get to one of my only few compliments about this film, other than the tease for the Rathalos. I think Mila Jovovich's acting in that moment she crawls out is admittedly somewhat, understandable. I would have that reaction. I have that
yeah.
even just being around a singular bug is I feel itchy. But that's it. After this, we then come to the scene of her and the hunter having their fight, which was very bad, very poorly choreographed. I'm also confused as to why for some reason in my head, I'm like, why are they even fighting to begin with? Why did you put a knife to her throat? Weren't you trying to help her? I mean, you literally tried to like warn them about the Diablos and stuff before it showed up. So why did you put a knife to her throat? It's so
Oh,
dumb. It's just there.
Artemis pulled the knife first.
Yeah, she pulled a knife in like defense because he was hidden. But then he, in response, pulls out and puts a knife to her throat and sneaks up behind her, just escalating it further, which he didn't have to do. If he just came out, there could have just been a moment of confusion and the fight wouldn't have happened. But we need that fight, I guess. Not that it was good to begin with, because again, bunch of weird cuts. And if you wanted to establish the claustrophobic fight angle of them like fighting in a cramped space, you could. Bullet Train did it better. With, for one, you don't need to cut after every time someone lands a hit. And this film does that. It's cutting every time you land the person, either Mila Jovovich or the I don't know the actor who does the either Artemis
Tony,
or
I believe Tony Jaa is
Yeah.
his name.
Yeah, Tony Jaa.
Yeah, they don't need to cut every time.
Yeah. And this is like something that good for you guys to kind of like take this as you will. You have like Tony, like, and I've even mentioned this in my video. Like on the one hand, you have Tony Jaa, who is a martial arts expert, and the other is Mila Jovovich,
He
who
probably
has
just
kind
did
of,
this
even
movie
though
for
she's not a martial,
like, let's
yeah,
be real.
even though she, well, what I'm going here is like not only she may not be a martial arts expert, but she's worked on action movies with her husband Paul W.S. Anderson, who is the director of this film, for years, at least since the first Resident Evil movie, which by the time we get to Monster Hunter, that would have been almost 20 years ago. And she's been doing these types of movies like Resident Evil since then. So it's not like, so, you take that as you will, like how, and when you consider like how these two actors are implemented during this set piece where they're supposed to do hand-to-hand combat.
Perhaps. However, I could also say that wouldn't really matter at all when you're doing action movies made by W.S. Anderson. No amount of experience is going to save that.
True.
Because this movie was edited by a coked up psych ward patient.
The same editor who Paul W.S. Anderson worked with in Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, right before Monster Hunter. So,
Final Chapter was 2017, right?
Yeah, 2017. Yeah.
Good lord, we're old.
Oh God.
Yeah, one thing I found pretty weird that I think was only mentioned in one review is everyone and their mother keeps pointing out how, oh, the only reason Mila Jovovich is in the film is because it's Paul W.S. Anderson and she's in every of his films. But as far as I know, it's
Man
only the
loves his
Resident Evil
wife,
films.
and you know what? Despite these crappy films, respect.
Yeah, but it's also
Yeah.
only the Resident Evil films, as far as I know.
Respect women.
Which makes sense because she's the main character.
Would you say the editing is schizophrenic? No, because the editing is not claiming it's Jesus.
What were you saying, Vic? Just
No, I was just saying it's nothing to do really with the debate, but it's just that everyone's pointing out how Mila Jovovich is in the movie only because she's Paul W.S. Anderson's wife, and
yeah.
how it's a trope in his movies, but it's literally only the Resident Evil films.
Well, actually, she also worked with him with Paul W.S. Anderson for the Three Musketeers movie. She was in that one as well.
Antonio Hoshi is wanting us to talk about the chocolate scene, but I'm gonna be honest, that is one of the least egregious things in this movie. If anything, it kind of makes sense. Because, like,
yeah, I actually rather like that scene as well.
That's kind of what you do in these scenarios is exchanging, like, food is kind of often seen as, like, a thing of goodwill, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
Also, them not having chocolate, at least in the way that we do, makes sense considering this is a much more primal world in a way. Even though it's not really, but like there are very much urban-esque areas in the world of Monster Hunter based off of like larger cities that are way more industrial. But well, not industrial as in like not industrialized, but they are cities with people that live there. But they wouldn't have chocolate still. Actually, I'm just, it's not important, but it does make me wonder when chocolate was invented. So yeah, the chocolate scene, is it silly? Yes, but it's not the worst thing in this film. Also, Monster Hunter as a series is known for being chronically unserious. Very rarely does it will jump between taking itself seriously and being full of the dumbest stuff ever. And it's why I love this series, because it will just fly between unserious and serious. I have no notes about like the language in the film at all, because it's one of those things that at the very least they aren't speaking English aside from the Admiral for some reason. So if anything,
they give a reason.
Yeah. Also, like the language that they're speaking in Monster, because even in like the games, the only reason that the games have an English setting is just, for the players, but the characters in universe speak a language called Wyverian, which is kind of the which is the mix of like Japanese and grunts that we hear the characters use in the games. So in the movie, all of like the people native to this Monster Hunter world are speaking that language. So the language barrier is accurate. I will give it that. So I have no notes on the language barrier. If anything, I actually think it goes
it's faithful to the games.
In that one angle, yes, Vic, I will put a boot to your throat. I will give, that's like one of like maybe 4 things the film has going for it. The Rathalos introduction scene, the designs minus Ursula, and the sense of progression, which I will get to later, which is actually going to be the next thing I talk about. And then also the language stuff, which goes into the whole camaraderie angle that the Monster Hunter games actually try to have going on is like you and your fellow hunters, even people you will never meet, getting together for a moment to fight a monster and fight this beast that's threatening other people.
Mhm.
And that sense of camaraderie, I like how it transcends a language barrier in that moment for the sake of survival. Two very different people just putting aside their differences for a moment to just both stay alive. It's a thing the Monster Hunter games actually do try to discuss in some angles when you're not skinning something for a new hat. So what I meant when I said the Monster Hunter like kind of sense of progression is, I'm hijacking this debate again. Vic, is there anything you want to add?
Well, I only want to add this since Blackaroonie's backseat debating in the chat.
I'm not like letting him coach me. Okay. I would not say that he's not backseat debating. He's only mentioned a few things.
Yeah, well, I say the reason I think that the Nurcilla design is effective is because it gets across the horror aspects of this adaptation of Nurcilla, as it sort of goes hand in hand with the environment they are depicting it in, as this dark, grungy, cavernous web of
maybe you
X-Sax.
don't. Okay. Maybe you are aware of where Nurcilla are found in the games, because where they're in is areas that are kind of dark, like the Ice Shard Cliffs in Monster Hunter Wilds, or the like the Sunken Hollow, which is a giant hollowed out cave system where they kind of hide, but they still retain a lot of their color. And even then, they're still more effective in that angle as horror movie monsters because they jump around so much, and before you know it, they're behind you and have stung you with their stinger, and then they've like hit you with their extended mandibles and poison you. So I would not say Black is backseat debating here, because the most that he said is just kind of the most backseat debating he did was being able to understand my nonsense and better articulating a point I was already making. That's the most he did for backseat debating. Also, the whole Vic, no, what are you doing? Which is really funny to see in real time.
Yeah, I only said it as a joke, really. I just said that as a joke. But
Who's Blackaroonie? I'm White Bruni, and I'm just here to party. Rooney, be very careful, because that is very close. That is very close to Brony, and I will hold that over your head for the rest of your life. So back to what I was saying with the Monster Hunter sense of progression. Obviously, in Monster Hunter, the gameplay loop is that you hunt monsters. No duh. Crazy. But you use the parts that you hunt from other monsters to go and hunt other monsters. This is at least present with the fact that they use Nurcilla parts in order to hunt the Diablos. In a way, Diablos here is the wall, and the Nurcilla is what they have to fight, in a way, metaphorically grind in order to be able to defeat the Diablos with their method. Even though the Nurcilla stinger is only effective for that one moment, and they use everything else instead in order to kill it. It's only used to blind the Diablos in its eye. You could have still gone with an ecology angle of, like, say, that Nurcilla venom is especially toxic to Diablos, which would be a neat detail to actually mention, and that's why the Diablo steers clear of the Nurcilla nest. But they don't do that at all. And this is something that other adaptations of the Monster Hunter games have done. There's actually a manga of Monster Hunter called Flash Hunter, which is an official manga that Capcom licensed a fan to go do. And in this, There's a monster called the Tigrex and a monster called the Kezu. I'm not going to bore you with what they look like and stuff, but I'm just going to say this one detail, is that they encounter the Kezu, which is a very unique predator that is also very that's also very physically weaker than the predator that's called the Tigrex. But the reason why the Tigrex doesn't go after the Kezu is because Kezu makes use of an element that the Tigrex is directly weak to, that being thunder. It's also better suited for caves, so if the Tigrex were to go after, it just wouldn't be worth it for the Tigrex to go after the Kezu in the manga. And that's what ultimately gives them the key to beat the Tigrex, because they use the Kezu materials to make weapons to fight the Tigrex. So even the Monster Hunter sense of progression isn't even done super well in this movie compared to other adaptations. Fuck! Because it's that cycle. Because then they could have harvested Diablo's materials to enhance their gear. But no. And look at how big those monsters are, too. You could have used those materials for a lot.
Yeah, I would agree in that sense of how you're describing it, because they only use Thunderstella Stinger to get Diablos. And then the most they do with Diablos is Artemis crafts like this a thing to drag the hunter once he's knocked out, which I guess is the only reason like why they aren't doing more, because there's more of a sense of like urgency in the film
I could give you that
as they have a
also, to
mission.
be fair. There is like no sense of a Rooney started being like, actually thunder is the noise lightning makes when it strikes. I will smack you. So I mean, I get, you could say, like, I can sort of say that my point is muddled by the fact that blacksmiths are not like that. There isn't a blacksmith character in the movie, and you often need to bring materials like this to a blacksmith in order to get your stuff. But I could still say you could have like made a makeshift, like you get like the horns or something, like those are good. Just stuff to like makeshift equipment and stuff, just something to kind of keep the theme of the games with natural progression going on. So there's that. And this was when I finally noticed something about this film. The music sucks. I don't really know if I can show any because because of copyright reasons, but it uses a bunch of generic techno, like synth sounding music instead of actual tracks from the games, which probably would have been better. Because, like,
is that main theme from the games at all that they use?
Nope, that is completely its own thing. The main theme of Monster Hunter is called Proof of a Hero. It is not in this movie.
Is there anything that they use from the games?
Nope. Not one track I recognize. There isn't a motif that I caught.
Okay. I want to say, I really like the music.
Vic, respectfully, you need help. Please.
Oh man.
One of these days, I'll let you guys do an intervention on me.
Yeah, you know what? That's what this is. Get Blackaroni in here. This is an intervention.
No. This is a debate between you. The intervention can come next. After this debate.
That's Zimcast 100, the Vic intervention.
I don't even know how to honestly tackle the music, because I feel
I'm not a
in
very
some
music-minded
ways
person.
Yeah,
but it's just I know people who are, and I've seen people talk about Monster Hunter music who are very music-minded individuals.
mm-hmm.
So most of what I'm just like know and my knowledge is osmosis. But like, yeah, Monster Hunter music, I'm not joking. This game's soundtrack is on the same tier of like the good shit as Final Fantasy and Sonic the Hedgehog. Like those,
Mm-hmm.
the music is that good. And I wish I could pull up one of the best, like one of the tracks that I honestly think would fit. But this is something I feel only really most video game adaptations seem afraid to use video game music outside of like Sonic 3, which used Live and Learn, which granted, the moment that guitar riff came on, my theater started actually cheering when they heard the opening guitar riff. And also, the only other one that was not afraid to use video game music was the Mario movie, which had so many orchestral renditions of the tracks. And also, surprisingly, the DK rap from Donkey Kong 64, which was so shocking to hear in my theater that I heard multiple people gasping.
Don't forget the Mario Brothers Super Show rap where we're the Mario Brothers.
That's just something I'm noticing with a lot of video game adaptations. Is they're afraid to use music from the games, which is a damn shame. Basically, what I'm saying with this point is people need to go listen to the Monster Hunter tracks. In fact, like a few that I feel like could fit are the Sunken Hollow, because that's the theme that's considered Nersilla's battle theme in a lot of ways, is the Sunken Hollow. The Rathalos' theme, which is just called Roar. The Diablos, which could have used the theme from the Dunes. And also, the fact that I'm coming up with these many just kind of proves my point. There was no reason for... You probably could have saved some money just using the tracks from the games.
Yeah, they could. For what I understand, this is like slight digression, but like for what I understand, like the Silent Hill movies even got like the same composer for the music for
Bruni, I said Dunes, not Dune.
It's not a game. But apparently the Silent Hill movie, yeah, the Silent Hill movies, I'm like not too familiar with them, but with the Silent Hill as a property. But from what I understand, like the composer for the music for the games also did compose the scores for the Silent Hill movies. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Now, granted, that doesn't necessarily mean like they carried over the same themes, but I can imagine they probably would, or that would mean that they would in that case. Right. I mean,
I mean, maybe you have a point with it being a rights thing, but from what I understand, Monster Hunter is not stupid with its rights like Toho is sometimes, making like the track a separate copyright thing to the monster itself, which is so dumb. But we're not here to talk about Toho's stupid decisions. I could make that its own thing. As far as I'm aware, there's no reason other than that's just the thing with adaptations, other than Mario, and is using video game music in these movies is just for some reason seen as taboo, and instead we get garbage. And I hate this term. I said it in the Platoon stream. I hate that we just got essentially glorified synth slop. And fuck this movie for making me use slop as a term, because I swore that.
Say for the whole theme as a whole, I would say at worst it's like all the music is suitable for the scenes, but I really like all the synthy moments of the track, and like the main theme itself is my favorite theme of the film, and I really like it a lot.
Probably is your favorite because it had the most effort put into it. But also, my point about its quality is not the point here. Well, for one, it all blends together into one unrecognizable blob. I dislike Shin Godzilla's use of music, but I can at least tell you when each track is used. I cannot, like, none of the tracks stuck out. Even -1, which has, like, music that's mainly used to blend into the scene as, like, more of an ambiance than actual, like, music you could listen to. Even then, that's recognizable, and I can tell you what's happening in that scene. It's all blends together in the Monster Hunter movie. There's not one recognizable track outside of the main theme, which is only used at, like, the end, if I remember correctly.
I would say I don't know. I have no idea what the terms are, but like the melody or something like that, it's used throughout the film in certain moments, from what I remember.
I think the term you're saying is I think the term you want to find is leitmotif,
Probably, yeah,
because it's
something
like
like
it's like a
that.
certain
The motif.
because yeah, leitmotifs, if I'm correct, it's like it's a certain collection of notes. Like Godzilla's theme has the whole dun 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 dun. That is Godzilla's leitmotif. Regardless of like the tempo it's played at or the intensity, that is his leitmotif.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just straight up, the music is just not good. Does it work well enough? I guess, but my point isn't that it's not effective. My point is that it's bad music because it's all unrecognizable and doesn't. Is that it's all unrecognizable and is just boring synthy sounding music, which doesn't even fit the theme of Monster Hunter. We didn't have synth sounding noises until Wild, which they used specifically to establish that monsters like the Guardian Arkveld and Zoshia are not natural creations. They are artificial. So the synth sounds don't even work as like Monster Hunter like music. It's just generic action movie stuff. I completely forgot about that fact until just now. Then I guess we have a brief respite where I will give the film this. The Apsaros are actually accurately sized. Surprisingly. Why Apsaros of all the monsters to be right? Also, the Cephalos, that weird fish monster that the hunter cuts in half, that's called a Cephalos. Just a fun little thing.
I'm pretty sure I never even recalled it by name in my video.
They do name drop it.
I don't even know if it's like I don't even know if it's like even mentioned in the film. It's just there.
Yeah, I
just caught it because I
No, I wasn't talking about in the movie. I was like talking about in my video. Like I didn't even mention that thing that comes out of the thing that comes out of the sand or whatever.
That's what I should have mentioned. Is that it's like you don't even mention it in your review, which just shows how much of a nothing.
Yeah, like if I didn't mention the Nursula by name in the video, I sure as hell was not going to mention that one thing, that thing that shows up briefly by name either. So it just kind of went to shows like. I'm sorry. This is your debate. I don't want to. Don't let me hijack it.
I've hijacked this stream as much as it is.
But it's also, I'll preface that I do not mind Kuru going on his tangents on explaining Monster Hunter stuff because I only came to the debate because I thought it would be pretty fun, and also just wanted to state my reasons as to why I like it, and or some of the things I thought was pretty good. Which I think the little Cephalos bit was a pretty good.
Ultimately, whether or not you like it, I don't have a. I play it up, but just because that's what I do. But I don't actually care whether or not someone likes this movie. I encourage coon behavior. But my point is that
Yeah.
if the reasons that I'm being presented as to why you think it is good or serviceable at the very least are not holding up to like scrutiny here. Ultimately, like it all you want, I encourage the raccoon behavior. But yeah.
Sure, understandable.
I mean, dude, I'm out here loving GXK at every minute of it. And we have talked about why that film is an objective piece of trash. But you know what? It is my trash. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's I didn't even like realize that the film might have been trying to elicit a response like Jurassic Park with the whole Oasis scene with the Apsaros. Until you mentioned it, I'm just like, oh god. Hand in my face in my hand
wouldn't-
saying it can't go on like this.
Wait, is this a Jurassic Park as in it's trying to be the Brachiosaurus scene, or
Yes, that's
in
what
general?
when people say aping Jurassic Park, they mean they mean usually the Brachiosaurus scene, which admittedly, oh, I could talk about Jurassic. I'd rather talk about Jurassic Park than this movie.
Well, I would have to disagree with that point as I'm
If
not
it
saying it's
wasn't,
your point, but it doesn't really have the vibe at all. I wouldn't say it was going for it, as it's
what would
just a
you say it
simple
was
scene.
going for then?
If anything, it's just to show that there's other types of monsters and that they're not all like these ravenous creatures that they've been portrayed so far. Because we do have the scene with the hunter showing that the what are they called again? The Apsaros?
The Apsaros are like the herbivorous monsters.
Yeah, like the turtle ankylosaur things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, like there's other types of monsters that aren't like the aggressive, monstrous kind. And then it also just helps set up the bit with which I think is an effective way of introducing the levity of the film with the gag of the bait gag that they have in the film. I think that also helps emphasize their bond as them growing closer together. But I wouldn't say it's trying to ape Jurassic Park in that moment. It doesn't have
the
the
closest
vibe.
thing I could think of to what it's trying to have is to showcase like some of the other creatures. One other thing I'd like to mention from the ecology angle of this, considering how tightly knit the ecology of these games can be at times, the fact that most of the monsters here, only like 3 of the 6 or 7 monsters that this film shows us are actually desert monsters. Those being the Cephalos, the Diablos, and the Apsaros. I'm not counting Nerscylla, even if there's a desert variation, because I know for a fact that is not the one they're using due to the color of the spines. So, yeah, I'm not counting Nerscylla. The rest of them are not desert-based creatures. Or at the very least, yeah. So, that's just one of those things. Is what is a Rathalos doing in the desert? What is a Gormagala doing in the desert? There's no reason. Then again,
Outside of the scene with Bravo Team where they find the remains, 'cause I can imagine that, like, if they were blown, what was it, Alpha Team? If they were blown as far out as they were, I can see how the Rathalos can probably either portaled with them or track them down.
I don't
after
doubt
the
the
fact.
Rathalos. Like, Rathalos are known for essentially being like dragon-sized hawks in the world of Monster Hunter. That they are very effective flyers. So, but it doesn't make sense considering that they establish in the film that the Rathalos is guarding the tower. So why would you go so far out?
That could be true. Though again, because it does go between the portals in a few scenes.
Speaking
or in
of
that
which,
one scene.
Rathalos. Okay. Why is this thing so fucking big?
Because big monster.
Okay, but
it's
Rathalos is
cool.
already big. In fact, like outside of Apsaros for some reason, all the monsters are very outside of Apsaros and Cephalos, all of the monsters are very weirdly sized. I already mentioned Nursilla, but I'm gonna send Sea Monster some additional like images that I'm gonna pull up in a moment
All right.
because
Okay.
so one moment, please. So I can have these pulled up.
Okay.
All right, share my screen.
Okay.
I would say a few reasons is probably one, just because of the rule of cool, bigger monsters are cooler in
Okay,
some
but
cases. And then
I
also
can
it
kind
would
of
be
understand what
more
you're saying, but that comes at the
What is that?
cost of like that comes at the cost of like actually well choreographed fight scenes because it can become a challenge to make an interesting fight like that when you're fighting something the size of the size bigger than the plane she was on.
Yeah.
So
That's the other thing. I think it was done to have a better shot for the fight scenes with the military.
which I guess, but
You guessed correctly.
no Rathalos in the games is actually that big. So also, if you really wanted to handle that, you could in a way showcase the monster's like effectiveness be by having it be that size, have it be kind of small compared to all the other stuff, but it is still tearing apart military grade equipment with little effort, even despite it not being that large. At least that's my rationalization. Because so as I'm showcasing, don't mind this little yellow bugger down here. Don't worry about him.
What is that?
So this screenshot is from a size comparison video that they made back during the days of 3 Ultimate. The little yellow guy is a companion character in the game.
Is that a Palico or
that is actually not a Palico. That is another race of hunter companion like creatures called the Shakalakas.
Oh.
The yellow one that you meet is one that actually is named Cha-Cha. He is he sucks. Kayamba is better. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, Rathalos down here. This is I think this is meant to be its name, and I think this is katakana or hiragana. And that's the kanji for Rathalos, if I'm correct. But this is the actual size of a Rathalos, 1,714.7 centimeters, which is roughly equivalent to 56.25 feet in length. So, yeah. So the one in the movie is like no joke. Some people have done the math. 4 times that size compared to the Boeing military plane that the film uses.
Well, not even just that. Like the screenshot that is featured for this live stream's profile that I put there, the Rathalos looks bigger than the Osprey.
Yeah, I swear there is some weird mass shifting going on with the monsters in this movie. Like, is that just me?
I'd say it's reasonable to assume there's some size discrepancies.
Like, this puts Gareth Edwards' mass shifting in 2014 to shame.
No. I wouldn't say so.
Yes, because, like, okay, Like it's okay. Maybe I can kind of agree with what you're saying because the mass shifting in 2014 is weird at times. So the next one is Diablos. This is not as egregious as the Rathalos, but it is still way bigger in the film compared to in the games.
Yeah.
Also, Diablos is actually bigger and heavier than Rathalos, which makes sense when you realize that Diablos is using its wings to dig instead of fly. And also, Rathalos has to fly, so it has to be smaller, and its wings need to be larger, and also a lighter creature.
Now, just to be clear, like the little guy is not supposed to. It's not supposed to be like in scale with an average human.
No,
ultimately,
so
like
Chacha is the Shaka. I was hoping to get. They used the little hunter companions instead of an actual hunter character for size reference. Ignore him. But if you wanted an idea as to how big he is,
compared to a human.
he is actually. Let me see if I can. I won't pull up an image. But Shakalakas are, I want to say, a fourth, maybe a third of an average hunter's height.
Okay.
And most of the hunters are like the height of an average Japanese male. So
okay, so basically, just using our imagination, like the
the
Diablos
hunters would be going up. The hunter would probably be going up to Diablos's knee.
Okay.
Just
All right.
Mm.
for
So
reference, and so roughly the first two squares on this are like the height of a hunter.
Okay.
okay.
So yeah, they're like going. They're half the height of the monster's knee.
Okay. So basically, the movie just like just totally exaggerated the size of Rathalos and Diablos in this case.
Now, the final example of the size comparisons that I can't really do enough justice for is Gore Magala. One, it's just not in the movie enough for me to gauge its size well enough. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was also oversized. This is another size reference that they had for Gore Magala back in the length of 4 Ultimate was the whole thing with they compared it to like the size of a locomotive, which in the games it is very, very large. But it is also surprisingly very hunched over. As can be seen with
judging from the after credits scene, I'd say it's probably a little bigger than this. Because you can see them fighting it in the credit scene.
Yeah. So I that's why I said I couldn't really compare the sizes of this. Excuse me. I couldn't say much for Gore Magala, but it wouldn't surprise me because I didn't feel like there was enough in the film for me to accurately gauge its size.
Yeah. All right.
So that's all I would need to like showcase and share on my screen. So that's it.
All right.
As far as how they beat the Rathalos, stupid. It's just the Red Death from How to Train Your Dragon.
Now is there like would you are you trying to say like they did it like they doing something similar to how they beat the Red Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon, but they did it worse in this case? Like
it's kind of like you know how like in How to Train Your Dragon, like they have to wait, they have to time it right. So they have to time it just right with when the Red Death is about to breathe fire in order to take it out. But in there, it's like, which I guess kind of works, but because like Rathalos does have what's called a flame sack, which is an organ a lot of fire-using monsters have in order to shoot fire. But tearing that apart and damaging it doesn't cause the monster to spontaneously combust. It just makes it so that it can't really use its flame anymore. Also, Rathalos is another electricity weak monster. Also, Bruni, what do you mean, like, tell me you're lying? Lying about what?
That Shakalaka and Cha-Cha are the names of the actual creatures.
So, Shakalaka is, like, the species name. Cha-Cha is that individual's name.
So Cha-Cha is like if you name a cat or something, Cha-Cha.
I mean, he names himself that, so because they actually talk to you.
All right.
Fun little thing. Oh god! Oh my god! It's worse than I thought. What do you mean worse than you thought? I miss the Shakalakas personally. They were goated. Why is that the name? I don't know, man. Localizations go per. But like, speaking of hunting companions, the Palico. So, the Palico that we meet in the Monster Hunter movie is an actual Palico in the in Monster Hunter World, which is the game that this movie is adapting because it was the most recent one out at the time. But he goes by the Meowscular Chef. All of the cats just do like cat puns and play on words when it comes to cats and stuff. Meowvolus is a common thing. But most Palicos are not his size. He's like twice the size of a regular Palico. Most of them go up to the same height as the Shakalaka that I showed you guys.
Okay.
So, yeah. Also, he's not established as a hunting... he's also the cook in Monster Hunter World. He's like the main chef, which is funny. He also has a bunch of Palicos that he has alongside him to teach. Yeah. So, I guess he's accurate? But why is he flirting with Artemis? That's weird.
Okay. Like the thing that I kind of pointed out in my video was kind of like how the Palico just seemed like the way he just like suddenly shows up in the movie, like just makes him seem so out of place when everything else just seemed like really ultra, like gritty and serious.
That's a disconnect between someone who is a Monster Hunter fan and someone who isn't. I knew what he was as soon as I saw him, so it didn't jar me. But I can clearly understand how someone who doesn't know Monster Hunter would get thrown off by a cat the size of a person. But for me, it did not.
Especially considering, what I'm trying to say is like considering that by the time the Palico shows up, we're like an hour or so into the movie. Like if this thing was like introduced like sooner than that, then it would have like been. It would have been like less jarring. Like if they just like even so much as like had him appear for a little bit, like during the prologue bit.
Yeah, he doesn't show up in the prologue now that you mention that. Oh my god.
Yeah, like if he did, it pretty much would have eased us into like like the weirdness of this world, much better than what they did here. Because like up to this point, what we've seen were just like the Diablos and the Nursula, which are like these ultra violent, scary creatures. Intended to be like these like gritty, violent, scary monsters that are just like, and the film is even like has like this body horror moment with T.I. like having eggs grow out of him like they're chest bursters. Like that's like kind of a horror scene. But then you go through all that, you like this film that's like relatively kind of serious for the most part, and then suddenly this Palico shows up and you're just like, okay, what the fuck?
This movie takes itself way more seriously than the games. The games are not shy about getting really goofy at times, but it's the kind of goofy that's like played straight as just this is just how they roll.
Yeah, like Yeah,
For
I mean, like the
example,
most that
one of
we
the-
get, the most that we get. Sorry, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
For example, an example of this game of the games playing their goofiness straight. There is a weapon in these games. So obviously you have a plain old lance, which is the defensive weapon in the game. It's what you use to block, to tank all the big hits, and just keep on trucking. There is also a weapon called the gun lance. It is what it sounds like. It is a gun attached to a lance. Imagine that the lance is just a giant bayonet. I'm not joking. It's amazing, and I love it. But it's that kind of goofiness is played straight. So even tonally, this film is way out of whack compared to the rest of the games, which are not shy about getting weird. World was the only one that played it kind of straight somewhat, but once it came time for Rise, Sunbreak, and also Wilds, they were not shy about just kind of going off the walls at times. For example,
Yeah.
in Wilds, there's a character by the name of Rove who is so fucking hilarious. Go look up his intro cutscene. It's the same one where Nursilla shows up in Wilds for the first time, and it is hysterical because all of the characters are just, what the fuck is he doing? But yeah, also there's a gun lance in Monster Hunter that is just corn. It is called the Corn Popper. It is amazing.
All
The
right.
shield is a straw hat.
Okay.
So I guess my last thing is to talk about the tower for a moment.
Okay. Like just kind of the world building about
The world building in this
like
film, this is like the last thing I'm going to mention, because after this, I'm kind of going to give my closing statement, and I will let Vic have the floor, because I have hijacked this stream and I feel bad.
okay.
Is the world building in this film throws me for a loop. Granted, every adaptation comes with creative liberties to the source material. I understand that. However, when you say the new world, I'm thinking of the continent that we have in Monster Hunter World. Because in World, it is mainly about the discovery and the establishment of a new continent that they have found, which is disconnected from the one that the games had previously been on. For one, there is not a tower on what we know of in this time. And I mean, I could sort of see the creative liberties here, but I sincerely doubt Wes Anderson was thinking about them. Is that
I just noted. Oh, by the way, I've just been noticing that you were calling Paul W.S. Anderson Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is a completely different filmmaker. It's Paul W.S. Anderson.
tomato?
No, Wes Anderson's being all like, "Leave me out of this. I did not make the Monster Hunter movie or the Resident Evil movies. Leave me out of it." I'm making the Phoenician scheme, all right?
You know what? You're getting dragged in here too. Collateral damage. It happens.
Okay.
I might check out his stuff if he's apparently an actually good director, because I thought I remember hearing you guys say you didn't like his stuff during one of the -1 streams. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about
I never
that
said anything about him.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
So yeah, W.S. Anderson. The only just rationalization I could think of, because I'm kind of like Vic in this angle. When I see something in a film that I am like, that's weird, my first instinct is to rationalize it. Is to think, why was X, Y, or Z chosen? How does this affect the thing? And if I rationalize it in a way that I'm just like, if this just doesn't make sense, then I tend to just actually view it as a flaw. My first instinct when it comes to something in a film that I think is off is not to think of it as a flaw, but just a piece of a puzzle I need to find out. That's how I've always kind of criticized things.
Right.
But for this film, the only rationalization I could think of is, again, something that I sincerely doubt W.S. Anderson actually thought of, which is that they might be going north in the New World, which is implied that the reason why we only go up on the peninsula of the New World is because the rest of what we know of is considered to be just far too dangerous for us to go into. But I sincerely doubt W.S. Anderson thought about that when he was making this movie, and he just wanted the tower because the tower is an actual place in Monster Hunter. However, it is not on the New World. It is in what is actually the jungles of a completely different continent, and it is also very isolated. The only
Alright.
desert that kind of looks like there's only one desert-like area in Monster Hunter that actually looks like the desert that this one is based off of. That the desert that this is, but it's not on the New World. So, yeah.
Alright.
The world, and granted, I acknowledge that creative liberties are taken when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I expect some kind of faithfulness. You don't just throw the tower in the middle of the desert. The tower is a very significant area in the games. It's oftentimes one of the last areas you gain access to, and it's not even in every single game. Partially because it's just so significant. Especially in like the old games. When you were at the tower, it was a big deal. You were fighting some of the hardest stuff the games had to offer, because once you went into the main arena of the tower, there was no going in, there was no getting out. You were stuck in there. So you were locked. It was a cage match, essentially. Yeah. After this, you know, they have the whole, another monster's gonna cross over into into your world, and we can't have that. So they fight the Gormagala, which, to be fair, if a Gormagala got into like the plane, like the real world, as to call it, it would be bad, because Gormagalas are some of the most dangerous things in Monster Hunter. Where that Gormagala was before this, I don't know. It's just there for like the, hey, look, it's the monster from the game you like.
Yeah.
Is there any like implication from the games as to who that one hooded guy was at the end?
No. The only thing I could think of is that it might be a cult member, but as far as I'm aware, there's not a cult in the game surrounding Gormagala. Like, cults are
Interesting.
kind of a thing in Monster Hunter that worship certain monsters, but one is not known for gore. It would have just been some movie's OC, essentially.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, I mean, we would never really
only thing
find
I
out.
can think of- yeah, the fact that the fact that Anderson had the audacity to think he was going to get a sequel.
Yeah.
Even Capcom likes to sweep this movie under the rug and just pretend it doesn't happen. It never happened. I'm not joking. They've not mentioned a single thing. This movie came and went, as far as there was no impact. And as far as what I was saying, why the Gormagala was there, the only implication I could think of is, again, some stuff I doubt that W.S. Anderson actually thought of, which is that the Gormagala could be there for molting purposes. But because Gormagala is actually an infant stage of another creature, and they like to molt in isolated areas. But the tower wasn't isolated until recently, so why are you here? So even my own rationalization doesn't work. TLDR, this movie sucks. If you want a Monster Hunter movie that's good, go watch Legends of the Guild. It's also a lot shorter, only like 40 minutes, and it's it does what this movie couldn't in like 40 minutes. It does everything this film could have tried to do better in like less than half the time.
I do like
Or-
that film.
What?
I do like that film.
Legends of the Guild?
Yeah. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah. It's if you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. It's like less than an hour long. What are my thoughts on the Monster Hunter Stories anime? I have not gotten the chance to watch it. As far as I'm aware, it was a Japan exclusive, so it's not like I've gotten to watch it. Yeah, so that's it from me. TLDR, this movie is bad. And the only other movie, it's one of my least favorite movies, period. A terrible adaptation, a terrible movie. Guts, my favorite game franchise ever. Like, I've talked a lot about Persona recently. Monster Hunter has been my favorite, and I love it just as much, if not leagues more than Persona. Just to put it into perspective, how much of a kind of spit in the face this movie is to me. And it's my third least favorite film ever, behind Godzilla the Planet Eater and also Fences. TLDR, film bad. And I am I've stated my piece on this film now. What do you mean I was doing so well in the beginning, Rooney? Beginning of what? The stream, this debate? Because I feel like I've been kind of going pretty well for the most part.
I think it just kind of. I'm just I'm not him, obviously, and I can't read people's minds. But if I were to if I were to like come to interpret, or how do I put it this way? I think he was kind of like hoping that, like, you kind of started out like actually talking about like the writing, essentially, like about the character stuff, like at the start of the at the start of the stream, like. He was kind of hoping that there was more that you could talk about in terms of like how the movie doesn't work as far as like just a film on its own, sans being an adaptation.
Yeah, admittedly, now that I see that, I can understand what Rooney was talking about. You know what? Fair enough, but when it comes to like that angle, there's only so much that can be said about a movie, about a quality of the movie's writing, when it's a movie that I'm surprised was written. Like, there's only so much I can really say there that cannot be inferred or just even grasp there. I think it was also just because, Minecraft kind of also said it. There wasn't a whole lot of pushback when it came to Vic, so I was kind of allowed to talk about why this film fails in the adaptation angle, which is mainly what irks me about it. But as far as actual writing quality, it's less. For me, the problem is more, it is undercooked, is what this film is. Like, the writing in this film is very half-baked. As I mentioned at the start, obviously all the stuff with Artemis' squad, and then she's kind of on her own for that part. And then she's kind of on her own for that part. And then, I mean, I get what Rooney's saying, though. It's just, I will give him that. I did mainly start talking about the adaptation angle because that's what, like I said, what drove me insane is all the ways this film guts. But
yeah, and in a lot of ways that speaks to why I didn't really have that many responses, because again, I don't know that much. So, and like I trust Kuru and him saying that, oh, it's not a great adaptation, which is why I can't really argue against much of it, because I'm just like taking his word for it, which is the word that I trust.
Enough. I will give you that, but I guess with like because I will say this, and I mentioned this to Sea Monster, I myself am not effective when it comes to plot writing, like recognizing that kind of issues. I'm not good at that. I've been trying, mainly in preparation for the Shin Godzilla debate with Gojin, but
Yeah.
it's not my first instinct when it comes to this stuff. It's character writing that I catch on to, and also just world building. That's what I catch on to and stuff. So
Yeah. I think that's kind of like why, why it seemed like you definitely, you at least were able to like argue why the characters in Monster Hunter were like so
the plot
weren't really all that well done.
The plot is extremely A to B. So as far as plot writing, there isn't much in terms of that I could really talk about, because it is just, there isn't that many holes there, because it is just the stale end pieces of white bread, essentially. So
Right.
plot writing, there isn't
Yeah.
much to talk about there. The character writing is absent. So like, I guess
Yeah.
the other characters are all kind, I'll give Rooney some of this. Just the characters of not just Artemis's group aren't defined at all. Outside of the admiral, the hunter's characters, like the other hunter characters, are also not very well established at all either. They're just kind of they all act the same. The only reason I would be able to get anything out of them is just because I know what each of the costumes that they're wearing is based off of their characters from World. But yeah, Rooney, it's like, talking about the writing, there's only so much talking I could do about the plot writing and the character writing when there's like hardly any.
Yeah, that's kind of that was even kind of like a thing that I may have even brought up. Like the film was like the film had like so many action set pieces that
the focus
like,
of this film is on the action set pieces. So my focus became more so on the film's editing and the like, because that's obviously what the film and the creators were focused on, not the plot or the characters, which, the foundations of a good story. Their goal was hype moments and aura, which then I was like, okay, I'm going to approach this with the idea that, yeah, your hype moments and aura are bad. They're poorly choreographed. And also, the monsters are not well established.
And the thing is, like, even as someone like who isn't from, like, even just somebody who's watching it as a movie, like what I may have like pointed out in the video was like how there was like nuggets of backstory, like with the hunter that like he had like a wife or something like that.
They should have gone into
and
that.
They kind of wasted. They should have gone into that, especially considering that Artemis also had a loved one of a similar nature who also was killed.
Yeah. She was a widow. She was a widow, and he lost his wife and son, obviously, to the Rathalos, I think, is what they mentioned. Which, actually, that's a bit of a plot hole. Like, why, how on earth did the Rathalos kill, his wife and son? Isn't this Rathalos supposed to be, like, specifically at the tower? Like, isn't this thing specifically guarding the tower? So, presumably his wife and son were not part of this expedition with him, considering they're trying to reach the tower. So, was it another Rathalos that killed it? But he seems to have a vendetta against this one specifically. That doesn't make any sense now that I think about that. There you go, Rooney. That's an actual plot hole in the film. Is why? Why is it this Rathalos?
The only thing I could think of is just like, because given what we see in the film, the tower was only recently activated, and so the Rathalos is probably like, if there's to give any like backstory at all to it, which again would just be speculation, admittedly.
That's entirely whatever point you're gonna try to make, Vic, it is entire. Let me try to guess the point you were gonna make before you, Vic. You were gonna say that the Rathalos was off doing its own thing, but then came to the tower once it activated, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, but that is entirely a headcanon to make this film work. You're essentially inventing an entire backstory for the Rathalos for the film instead of the film at doing it for itself, which it should have done.
Yeah. Which is why I
Um,
preface that it's a speculation.
Yeah, which it really shouldn't have had to even do that at all. But you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I guess like another thing is like when we get into the I guess Rooney also wants us to go into like the definition of work.
He's off. He's going crazy in the guys. It's really funny.
What does it mean? What does it mean for? Okay, yeah, I get it. No, yeah, like he's asking, like, what does it mean for something to work? You know,
Yeah.
like an aspect of the story, like when
Like,
it works. Like,
I
what do
guess
we
it's
mean
one of
by
those
that?
things where it's like something. This is one of those things that like where, at least for me, the line, and I haven't talked about this because it frustrates me, is the lines between subjective criticisms, like subjective things that work for you specifically, objective things that are just not functionally working about a plot, and then feelings. They're three different things, and there's a difference between these three. Objective criticisms are things you can prove with a fact. Tired example, but it's the first thing that comes to my mind. The knife that disappears in the guard fight in Snoke's throne room. You can prove that that thing exists, that thing vanishes. That is a fact.
Yeah.
You can
Mhm.
prove that.
And the action sequence doesn't work in terms of like how it follows cause and effect. You know, considering that
Objective
Rey is supposed to survive
Choreography
this
is pretty
fight.
bad in that one too.
Subjective
Yeah.
criticisms are opinions that you can back up with facts and inferences through the text. Does that make sense?
Wait, opinions are
You can prove an opinion. Your opinion can be based in facts you are presented. Does that make
I'd
sense?
say that could be true of certain opinions.
Certain ones, maybe, but
Or I guess it might
Rudy,
depend.
what do you mean? Because now I'm like trying to like
Yeah,
make
because I was gonna say, I guess you would have to point at like what works. So like going back to this, I'd say the Nursula design works because it is part of the whole characterization of this specific adaptation of Nursula, with how it acts and how the colony is depicted on screen.
Rooney, that's
and how
Rooney.
it
That's
plays
what I
into the
was.
horror.
Yeah, Rooney. That's what I was trying to say. Again, I'm poorly phrasing stuff.
Yeah.
Here. There are positions that are held. Some are backed up by feelings, and some are backed up by just information. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you, for being able to articulate my nonsense.
Backseat debating.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm out here
Again,
thinking
I'm
that some of this,
joking.
like this guy, okay. I was like, are you messing with him or not? I genuinely can't tell now.
I love to mess with Black Rooney.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. And then like
Yeah.
feelings are very weird. They're just kind of things that can't be helped about a person, at least
Yeah.
to me. You
So,
can
like for me,
you can
like-
prove. I mean, I do my best to explain why the Nursilla take is bad because it doesn't act like it objectively does not behave like a Nursilla and doesn't look close to a Nursilla. Every detail about the movie Nursilla is off compared to the one from the games, and that's why objectively it is a bad take from the games.
yeah, which I can agree with you that objectively it looks different and it acts different, and there were liberties taken to change it. But I guess my argument is just that like, it's effective and the liberties taken are effective in escalating the horror of that part of the movie.
And I guess at that point we would just have to ask, like, why, what mechanically
purpose
makes
of-
it effective?
Why is it effective, and why did they have to essentially completely change Nursilla in order to make it effective? Because if it was just, because now I'm imagining like them, like the group running away from a singular spider the size of a Ford F-150 and having to run from that. How would that not be just as effective, and then have the merits of being also faithful, of being a faithful adaptation?
Sure, yeah. I would say that it's probably due to the fact that, like, unless they were faithful and adapting everything of what Nashilla is in the games, like, it could have been viewed as just like another big threat, considering we have basically everything else, like the Diablos and the Rathalos are just other big threats, and they wanted them to vary
Yeah.
them up, which is why the
Minecraft, the reason
Diablos
the
is
Nursilla
mainly
specifically was changed was so that they could have the swarm monster stereotype,
yeah,
which
something like
like,
that to
even
add
compared
variety.
to other monsters, Nursilla is not as big as a Rathalos or a Diablos. She isn't. So it wouldn't just be another big threat. It would be a far more unique threat that they have to later face, because Nursilla is an early game monster compared to Diablos and Rathalos, who come a bit later. So yeah, there's no reason for Nursilla to be the way it is, other than just a stylistic choice that guts the monster of any and all uniqueness.
Sure, yeah.
Have I satisfied you, Rooney? Have I shown my stuff yet? Have I satisfied you?
Yeah, I mean, because like when you get into that Shin debate, like you won't have the adaptation argument to like go for your
no,
go.
I'm not
go in
going.
your favor.
I won't have to. I'm well aware. I'm talking with Zim about my points. Rooney's out here feeling like Emperor Palpatine.
Good, Anakin, good. Kill him now.
I can hear it in his voice. It's so. I shouldn't.
Do it. Do it.
Okay.
Okay.
When is the Shin debate happening, and where's my invite? So, there it is, Rooney. He said the thing.
Yeah.
You're killing me over here, man.
Okay.
So-
To answer your question, C Animus.
Yeah, I actually feel like I maybe should, just to explain. It's probably going to be on Zim's channel. The reason you're not invited is because this is a one-on-one thing between me and Gojin the Makai Phantom.
Yeah. So
Wait, what's your
So
position?
the Animus, you and I are going to be cheerleaders for.
Yeah,
for,
Sea Monster
for
Sea Monster and Animus are in the stands cheering me on, since I'm on anti-Shin.
Oh,
I am their
Well,
champion. This
I
is
like
we're gonna be like
Vic. Listen,
we're gonna be
you were
like those
just
like
a warm-up.
drunk. We're gonna be those drunk guys on Bleak, those like fat shirtless guys with like paint, with like sort of like like
Yes.
paint on them, just go yeah.
Yes, that's really fun. That image is now in my head.
On the bleachers.
But yeah, that's why the Shin debate is it's just gonna be a thing between me and Gojin, primarily
Dojin the
because
Makima Phantom?
Yes.
Gojima the Makima Phantom. Yeah, that's kind of my that's final stance on this movie. It's not just a poor adaptation, it's a poor film due to its undercooked, it's underdeveloped, straight up undeveloped, not just undeveloped plot, characters, due to the sheer amount of characters is part of why this film isn't able to better establish them, but also its focus. Like, action just...
Yeah.
You get invested in action because you care about the characters. Why do you think the different movie, but another. It's a really strong example. Why do you think the climax of -1 worked so well? Because we gave a crap about these characters.
Yeah.
I cared about
And
the
that's-
characters.
I don't-
Yeah, of course you
Vic, you get emotionally attached to a cardboard cutout. There's a cardboard cutout of Zilla in your room. Don't deny it.
I can't deny it.
Don't
and actually,
Actually, technically, I don't have a cardboard cutout of Zilla, but I do have a cardboard cutout of Godzilla '98. So there you have it.
okay.
I will wedgie you on a flagpole.
Well,
actually,
Black already might beat you to it.
yeah.
He's gonna staple you to there. He's gonna staple your underwear to the top of it.
Well, actually, to kind of like back up the point about how the characters are undeveloped. Like, one of the points I made in my video was kind of like about how like this film could have had. I'm not even sure if I even went to that far into it. Maybe I said it, but did I say that the film could have kept some of the soldier characters alive for later, so that we could just flesh them out more?
They could have,
you know,
honestly, because by that
in
point
fact-
they've already proven how like effective. They've already proven the dangers of these monsters at this point. You didn't have to
Yeah.
kill off every single one.
Yeah,
Um,
and to kind of like go off your point for the adaptation, like the adaptation thing, like they use like the rule of 4 sort of thing. Like they could have kept like a couple of those soldiers around along with Artemis to team up with the Hunter.
And also
Like Sam-
showcase the other weapons that the Monster Hunter series is known for. Because we only see the Greatsword, the Dual Blades, the bow, and the Switch Axe, weirdly enough. And there's like 14 weapons. We
Yeah,
also
they
see
could have.
like, the glaive that the Hunter uses in
The
Yeah.
ending.
yeah, that is also a weapon. Where is his bug? Who knows? But yeah, like you could have had them use other weapons. Like one of them uses a gun lance or something, or like the bow guns. They could have like used the bow guns because they're military people. That's what they use is
Yeah.
guns. So
Yeah,
you could have had
that's-
that angle. And that could have
Yeah,
showcased
if you want-
like some of their character. One of them sees the heavy bow gun, which is a big ass gun that is in Monster Hunter. That's so big that it has to be packed in 2 pieces. And it's like that scene from Terminator 2 when the T-800 or Uncle Bob, as I call him, picks up the minigun, looks at John Connor, and just has a smirk across his face. Just that little bit of characterization. Just he likes the big guns, and
Yeah.
that alone is so much. That little stuff immediately can help make a character even just a little.
Yeah, like you could, like you. I mean, yeah, like like you pretty much could have, like even
That's
if
the
you
thing that
weren't
irks me
like
the most,
that
is that I
faithful.
can see the skeleton of what could have been a effective Monster Hunter movie here in like tweaks here and there, obviously developing the plot, downsizing the cast, removing the isekai angle, and it could have been fine. I'd still have
Yeah.
issues with the monsters, but yeah, that's ultimately why I resorted to the adaptation angle. One, it's because I know these games like the back of my hand, and also just it's so underdeveloped because that there isn't exactly much to talk to. So
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
there's only so much to talk about when your plot is like may as well when like the metaphor, when the visual metaphor for this film's characterization and plot is in the film, a giant skeleton.
Yeah. There's a skeleton here, but Paul W.S. Anderson, just
Also,
didn't,
fun little detail that the skeleton that they're in when they first are in the Monster Hunter world, that's an actual monster in the games. That's called the Daren Moran. It's a giant sand whale.
Well, actually, the skeleton I was talking about is the skeleton of the movie of what of what was there
In
that
you
could have.
GXK?
The metaphor I'm using is that there's the skeleton of a pretty all right adaptation here, but it's long since dead and buried and half buried.
Yeah,
If Shin Godzilla can get a sequel, so can Monster Hunter.
I hope neither get
yeah,
a
but
sequel.
Shin Godzilla.
Was good?
As bad as Shin Godzilla was, it at least has like enough of a following, a positive following to where a
Skeleton is
sequel could be
Rooney's,
warranted.
Rooney's actually kind of having a point here. He says you can emotionally connect with a rock you kick down the street when you walk home from school. Humans are objectively very emotional creatures. We get attached to things. Why do you think someone has a pet rock?
Yeah,
You form
Yeah, I mean-
emotional attachments to things. Like,
that's because
It's
Patrick
just how
Starr
we
taught
are.
us that you can. That's because Patrick Starr taught us that we can have be emotionally attached to a rock.
it's okay, Rocky. You go when you feel like it.
Yeah, okay. Since I kind of like opened the stream up now to like get more people on.
I'm
Vic.
expecting Rooney to drop in and start yelling.
Okay, all right, but all right. So, Kuru, you kind of said your final thesis, final thoughts, that your conclusion, I guess, to
Yeah.
the movie.
Closing statement. Bad.
Closing statement. All right, good. All right, Vic. Any closing statements? Has any of your thoughts on the movie or your perspective on it changed at all, or just?
Well, for a closing statement, like I'll just say that like I didn't come into this like wanting to win or to prove a point or anything. I mostly came to have fun and talk about Monster Hunter because I do still really like the movie. I guess I can view it the same way I do GXK, to where like yeah, it can have the flaws, but I can overlook them subjectively just because I really liked the things that I like in the film. I still stand on. I'd say I still believe that on its own, it it can be like good on its own. I just don't have the, I guess, explicit motivation to really dig into it and like take a stance on it. But I can definitely like appeal to your um points of criticism on it. But in the end, I still had fun here, which is what I ultimately want with anything I go into when it comes to debates and the like.
All right. Yeah. And I guess where I kind of like stand on it, final thought wise, as a moderator. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, yeah.
Yes.
I could definitely say my thoughts on the movie haven't really changed, really. Like
Monster Hunter bad,
like-
Shin Godzilla greatest.
No, Shin Godzilla is not great at all. Not even close. All right, now let's get people in here. All right, we got Minecraft World here.
Vic!
What?
Ah! Dude! You are one enigma. You are a very, very mysterious. How is it yesterday you had an actual genuine point of criticism, yet here, what the hell? Oh my god! Oh my god!
I think Minecraft's having another South America to China moment.
I'm making
No, this
everyone
isn't a
my
South-
enemy today, man.
No, this
Everyone's
isn't a
my
South
enemy.
America to China moment. I'm just ramping it up. But like seriously, you baffle me. Like yesterday was a
Vic.
genuine display of criticism, and here was like, what the fuck?
I am
Oh, yeah.
convinced
Oh, yeah.
I have a tinfoil hat theory.
Sorry, go ahead.
And it is that Vic is secretly more powerful than we all imagine. But he's toying with us. He's toying with us mere mortals. We are not ready for the full power of the Vic. We could not comprehend
You
his
haven't seen my
of
friends
solid
already.
objective proof of criticisms. The day comes where he will enlighten us.
He said it himself. He jumps on these things to have fun. If he goes all out, it's not fun.
I mean, See, he's laughing. He knows I'm right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were talking about that Don't Look Up movie. Yeah, where with Leonardo
I hate
DiCaprio and
that
Vic was like going.
I felt like that one character from Jujutsu Kaisen just looking into like Gojo's domain expansion. Just what the fuck?
This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen.
This is an
How?
advertisement. This is an advertisement now to join Zim's Discord. It's funny.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
please do. It's a group of chaos. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, guys.
my man.
Hey guys,
I
how are you
think
guys? How are you doing?
Doing good.
We're doing all right now. We're just kind of having a
Simmering it
roll call, I
down.
guess, before we wrap the stream up.
I mean, I thought we were gonna be all of us talking about this movie, so just you and Vic.
Yeah, this was mainly between like the two of us. Figured that it would probably open up the stream later, just to keep the stream focused. Since I feel one of the main issues of the Cottom debate is just how big it got.
Yeah, that was like the second one was really chaotic. Round one at least had some level of balance to it. Round two
This was
was
also
just-
like my first real attempt at an actual in real time debate, mainly as practice for the Shin debate, so I have some idea of what I'm in for. Because I didn't talk much for the Cottom debate because it didn't go in the direction that I wanted it to.
Uh,
So
also, if any of you are wondering, I have watched this movie.
yeah, I pity you, Hoshi. You really shouldn't have done that to yourself.
I
honestly.
didn't make it past
Yeah,
the
you-
10-minute mark. I didn't. I couldn't.
That's crazy. See, I can't comprehend
thought-
that.
I thought the soundtrack was very forgettable.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no.
As far as
Also, Kayuku, I heard about your rant on Nesula, and yeah, I can see it by the design and how it's it's like a giant middle finger to the design.
Nursilla cured my arachnophobia by just being the best spider to ever spider.
Even
Yeah.
better than Kumanga.
It made me appreciate what spiders are. So, yeah, I'm a little attached to Nursilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nursula in the film taps into my arachnophobia more
The
than the
giant
design
enemy
because
spider.
I think the design in the
Oh,
game
yeah.
is cooler.
Hey guys, I sent this on in one of the comments, but what are you guys' thoughts on like the body horror that was in that scene?
I thought it was very effective.
Was it it's one of those things that's like
It's the eggs.
I can't argue whether or not it's like I can't argue with that one specifically because it's like we haven't seen how Nursilla reproduce. So
we haven't seen Nursilla reproduce in this version.
but we have seen their babies, and yeah, it's like but it's so
It's like you've
Yeah,
already
like-
butchered Nursilla enough to the point where it's like anything they could probably do to redeem it would probably just fall flat.
leave our
Well, I will
children out of this.
All I will say is, thank God Devil Joe wasn't in the movie.
Devil Joe
Mhm.
would have just actually been Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got another person coming on. We got Snyder's greatest soldier
I
here.
knew you were gonna show up.
Hi.
Hello, Snyder fan.
What's up?
Vic,
Yes, Snyder fan.
I'm gonna gouge your eyes out and skull fuck you.
Freaking Snyder fan.
Language, mister. Watch your language.
It's gonna.
No.
We're being family friendly here.
This is a Christian Minecraft.
No, we're not.
Hey, I stopped being Christian years ago.
Same here.
No, but okay, in all seriousness, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, Vic. It was really painful. This debate was really painful.
I live for your pain, Snyder fan.
Like it's physically painful. Yeah. Like I know you're not here to you don't have any strong stances on this kind of stuff, but if you don't have a strong stance on this movie, then why are you debating?
Because I want to have fun with my friends.
Fair enough. Counterpoint: fun is cringe.
Yeah, don't you know? Like Rooney's fun phobic. Like he's actually
Yeah,
afraid
yeah.
of fun.
I hate.
He's part of
fun.
the fun police.
He's
Yeah,
part
you're
of
not
the
allowed to
fun
have
police.
You're not allowed.
This is out of the
It's forbidden.
police.
You're forbidden to enjoy
That's
stuff.
why
and
he
go
didn't
with-
like. That's why he didn't like Superman. Go back and write your.
I
Snyder
like
fanfics.
Superman. I like the movie.
Hey, I'm fun phobic towards that movie. I'm the one who
I'm
said
the-
like this movie ain't
Okay,
fun.
let's. Dude, I just realized all 4 members of the Superman debate are in this call. That's gonna be fun.
That's
think
gonna be a
we
very
agreed-
fun one.
I think we agreed. I think you told Gojin to hold off on that debate until a home release for Superman drops.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
that's what I told them.
And then we'll discuss preparing that one. I think we all are in
Yeah.
agreement on that.
Yeah, I think because he was in agreement with that. I also suggested bringing Omni on as a moderator at some point, and maybe a third one. Since
Yeah.
Sadly,
Omni was neutral on it.
Sadly, I
Since
probably
Omni was
won't be
pretty
on that
neutral on it.
stream.
Yeah.
I probably
Mainly just to keep things focused and well grounded for the sake of the discussion. It's probably best that we keep cast debate lineups minimal in the future.
Yeah, like Shin's gonna be a 1v1, Superman's gonna be a 2v2.
So yeah, I think that's a wise decision for the future because once we start getting 3v3s, it starts getting very uneven and stuff. But
Also
far
because StreamYard can only hold so many people.
So as far as like, well, I guess Rooney, since you were out here in Vic's words backseat debating, this is my I think I mentioned it earlier. This was my first real go at actually trying to debate something. As far as in real time, so I guess I'm asking how was it as far as like being serviceable?
I think you did a good job at the beginning. When you started getting into the whole adaptation argument, it was still pretty, it was still coherent. However, then the debate started to become less of a debate and more of a conversation, which, I mean, fair enough. That's a kind of approach that we did last time when Vic and I last debated. And, it's kind of hard not to have it become a conversation.
I feel like
Because
that's ultimately what debates are, is that they should, at least as far as debates when it comes to discussions of media, is it should be a conversation, a back and forth on why, on the merits of a piece of media. As
that's
far
what
as the
Dr.
adaptation angle.
That's
like,
Dr.
But I
Lonnie
mean, more like
Down's
a
motto.
one-sided conversation, as you said, Minecraft World in the chat, that Vic wasn't really defending himself. So I'm just wondering. Well, I'm not entirely sure what you could say that could, prompt Vic to engage a lot more beyond just
The Nursilla, I feel, was the
everything,
most
yeah.
contentious part of the debate. We were on that for a bit.
Yeah. I would say it didn't even feel like a conversation. To me, it felt more like a lesson. Like Kuru was teaching us instead of like
Like
back
a
and forth.
lesson
Monster
of
Hunter 101, fuck boys.
It's a lesson
I
about
like Monster Hunter, Nargacuga, my beloved, but
if
still,
there's
it's like-
one thing I can come from that talk is that it's a lesson on what not to do and what to do when it comes to designing a monster.
Monster Hunter has some of the best creature designs I've seen in anything.
Oh yeah, no, it's I said it on the Americans Don't Understand Godzilla stream. Monster Hunter's a fucking gold mine when it comes to creature design.
Also, like, hearing Rooney learn about some of this stuff was really fun, because I see that with so many people learning about all the little details in Monster Hunter all the time.
Except for Diablo's part, because I know that Black Diablos is a female.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Rooney, you was perfect that you were here.
Yeah, that actually, because the more you were talking about it, the more I started to think, oh, this is kind of like Helldiver, sort of, kind of like with how the people responsible for the writing implemented the mechanics of the game into the actual lore with the whole superstition of only 4 members per party.
Well, it was more like because the gameplay was so limited back then that all that they used in lore explanations for why certain gameplay aspects were so limited.
Yeah.
So they built
Yeah,
the
and-
world around their limitations, and it has since they've built it up from there. Now that we're in 20 years of this franchise.
I still think that's pretty creative. And also just the unserious nature, as you mentioned, it again Helldivers 2. So I'm actually kind of interested in checking it out one day. So Monster
Yeah.
Hunter, I mean.
If you do, just let me know. I can give you some pointers.
All right. As for like the actual debate, like I don't know, like I think it's pretty obvious. I don't know anything about Monster Hunter. I don't know anything about the lore. I don't know anything about the games. I just know that I watched the movie one time and I was half asleep and really had no idea what was going on. But I wasn't particularly interested by what was happening in the movie. I just saw big monster. I just saw woman fighting big monster, and I couldn't even tell you if I was bored or not. I don't really remember what I was feeling. I probably was feeling a whole bunch of nothing. But seeing how you argued the movie, particularly in the beginning, and when we got to the adaptation argument, that's why I brought up the whole, the differences between arguing for adaptations for movies like the MCU and arguing for adaptations for movies like Dune. I think it entirely depends on multiple factors, such as how, like what you said, like being faithful, respecting the source material, adapting the premise to the best of your ability while also, doing your own thing with it, which is fine. It's perfectly fine to do that. I mean, even Dune had a lot of differences from the book that I think also improved the source material, because in the
I need
book,
to watch the 2 Dune movies that were released recently. Recently was a few years back gifted a graphic novel version of the first book, and it was interesting. So I might get around to watching those movies.
the
I
first
think-
movie
Alright.
might appear boring, but I guarantee you that, like, with if you watch the second movie, it'll make a lot
The
more
second-
sense why.
The second one is
Hey,
better.
Black Looney.
I would say
Hey,
the second one is better.
hey, Black Looney.
Generally.
Have you ever watched the Dune miniseries?
I have not. I haven't really been interested in watching it. I've heard very mixed things about it. It's the one with James McAvoy, right, as Leto Atreides, or
Probably.
I think
Yeah.
there's also a difference in philosophy, because I brought up the Sonic movies as well. With video games, you generally have a bit more leeway with how you go about it, and even then it depends on the video game. With something like Monster Hunter or Sonic, because of the variety of storytellings, you only really have like a specific set of characters that you need to translate, and then you have free will to go further. The line with the Sonic movies and Monster Hunter is that Sonic at least understood the source material, understood the characters it was adapting, understood the criteria that it needed to meet,
Except
and
for
had
Sonic.
to work within those limits. And even then, I would say Sonic is well done. And Monster Hunter didn't do that. If anything, it just took the general premise and a few select monsters and barely did anything with it.
Yeah, like the most that the Monster Hunter movie did, and this is like coming off of as somebody who knows like what tidbits information from the games as an outsider, but just kind of being familiar with Paul W.S. Anderson and his philosophy and storytelling, and if you could call it that, is just, hey, what could look cool? What's a thing from the games I can use that I can just take from it that could make the scene look cool, and like how cool is my wife gonna look next to it? That's
You
pretty
see,
much the
to me,
philosophy
if I were to describe this movie, it's like what if Michael Bay was the one who directed this movie? You see one day.
It's like this entire film feels like Rule of Cool, the movie, which is inherently bad because the Rule of Cool should be used more so as like decoration rather than the crux for the story.
It's
even
the
then,
icing
like,
on
the
the
rule of
cake. It's
cool,
what makes the
it
writing
Yeah.
stand out. Like it's what
I actually
the
would.
writing
I actually wouldn't
supports.
even call it. I actually wouldn't even say the icing. I would just say the sprinkles that are put on top of the icing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna hop off and come back because my audio from my end sounds a little bit glitchy. I'll be right back.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, this was, in a lot of ways, this was, at least for myself, gonna be warm up for the eventual Shin and Superman streams, because those will be, hopefully I get to actually show some more more of my stuff, because I felt like I
Yeah.
didn't do much for the Cottom debate.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's fair.
As for
was
me, I
warm-up.
probably
This
won't.
was warm
I
up.
probably,
Vic, you were merely a footnote.
as for me, I probably won't be in any of those live streams.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's because the Shim one will be 1v1 and the Superman one would be 2-on-2.
Your audience
So-
is always encouraged. We like you around, Hoshi.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at least send me a link to a live stream. I'll see if I can say something
Oh yeah,
about it.
that's probably gonna be like our next big stream.
Yeah.
Feels like, speaking of big streams, Platoon stream seems to be doing well, at least performance wise.
Oh yeah, I've just been noticing it. Like the longmen have a thing for, having a wide reach. I don't know,
Dude,
So, I don't know where it's going.
Loud's speech at the end of that was absolutely phenomenal.
I think that's one of our best just works. Period.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yes.
just that.
And
I would say
was-
that is Sea Monster Live's equivalent to the Up from the Depths stream,
And
or
for
even
me,
the
I
Cotton
can't-
debate.
I was kind of proud of this live stream because I ended up being like the heart and soul of this group, if you know, because of my
Mhm.
speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the audio should be good now for me.
Spell that makes
Yes.
your audio bad again.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. It's just because from my end it sounded glitchy. So
Okay.
Well,
Huh.
I don't know. Guess the only thing really left to do is see if anyone's got anything else they want to add, any plugins, any
but we can
Yeah.
crucify Vic. We can keep doing that. That's always
No,
fun.
no. That's
I mean-
Ah,
when did you change your profile pic, Vic?
Oh, he wanted to spite me.
Been
That's
here
why.
all along.
Oh my
So
God.
I guess
Yeah.
I've already given my closing statement on this film. Vic's already given his closing statement on the movie. The only thing really left now is just plugins and our farewells.
Oh, before we do,
Yeah.
like I think we can spend like 2 to 5 minutes. Because since we're already here, this is the perfect opportunity for an intervention.
Okay. I guess we're.
No.
I guess
We
we're
need
doing-
Zim here for that.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
fair.
Zim
Fair
would.
enough.
Zim would be.
Zim is a vital asset when it comes to a Vic intervention.
Vic, just know that it's coming.
He's a lot nicer than I am. I will say that. So
Okay.
Sure.
What do we even call
But
that?
yes,
A Vic?
I do.
What?
I do kind of want to answer Blackaroon's question on what does it mean when I say on its own or good for what it is.
yeah. But before you do, let me just clarify. We I did mention before that what does it mean for a thing to work? What does it mean for a part of a movie or an element in the writing or the plot? What does it mean for it to work, right? Because in this context, how I'm using the term is it works because let's say it has a purpose and the purpose is inherently coherent in order to achieve a story that is cathartic, right? To achieve catharsis, that's the whole point. While also in the case of Monster Hunter in particular, I'm pretty sure Kuru would agree to this, is that the whole point is for the catharsis to come as thanks to the amalgamation of not only respecting the source material, material and being faithful, but also being well written and coherent, while also making the characters likable at what because of the things you know about them, right? You know, three-dimensional characters, you latch onto that, right? You can't just tell me this person is X and you're like, oh, okay, well, this person must be X because the film said that person was X. That's the same thing that they tried to do with Rey in the sequel trilogy, where they told us, oh, she's this, oh, she's that, or Sylvie and Loki, oh, she's amazing, Sylvie's amazing.
She's a
Oh,
girl
well,
boss.
that wasn't the angle I was going with, but sure. Or we hear in I don't know, GXK, where they tell us, oh, Eileen Eileen and Gia are this, Eileen and Gia are that. Although with those characters, they put in a lot, even like a lot less effort. But yeah, it's just an overall purpose, you know, to achieve catharsis. You know, that's what I mean when I say work. Like, what does it mean for something to work? What does it mean for something to be effective? That's why I ask you, what do you mean when you say this works as on its own, or it is effective in what it's trying to do? That's what I'm asking you to define and quantify.
Let's see. I guess launching off of that, what I mean when I say something works on its own, I would say, let's see, let me try to think about this for a sec. Because when I approach anything, like for a piece of media, I always go into it keeping in mind the intentions, the context behind certain choices of the film, and then also just like how the film, like, I guess, acts upon or executes those intentions. So when I say that this film either works on its own or is good for what it is, I mean that, like, as an isekai story, and a survival story, it executes the themes within, like, most survival stories and stuff like that, effectively enough through how it portrays the characters and what we see them do. And
You're doing the thing again. You're doing the thing where it's circular. You're
I
doing it
guess.
again. But
Sure.
you see why
But,
that's
like,
faulty, right? You can't, because that ultimately assumes that you're right when I'm asking you to prove it, or like to explain it without. You know what I mean? That's exactly exactly like my whole problem, especially in this particular debate, where most of the defenses that you brought up in favor of the movie against Kuru were pretty much that. So, and that's exactly what I'm asking you to, like, define, because, and that's another thing too. Like, when you say it works good enough, that sounds like cope. That doesn't sound like the defense. And the reason I bring it up as cope is because it
Works-
doesn't
okay,
offer.
like,
It doesn't
works
offer
good
like
enough
a.
in relation to what?
Yeah, pretty much in relation to what, like the Monster Hunter
relation
franchise, the
to-
story,
in
the
relation to
storytelling
what
standards
it-
in general.
Yeah, in relation to, like, that. Or are we just talking about like W.S. Anderson's other films? Are we talking about monster movies in general? What is it?
Or your
What is it?
emotions, which would then be subjective and therefore render the argument
Sure.
a
What
little bit obsolete.
what are the
Null and void,
What are
yeah.
the standards you are comparing this to?
Yeah.
An isekai survival story with monsters. That's why. And as that, it's a pretty good. And I can argue either objectively or subjectively. I can try for either. But, that was like the whole debate. But it would have to be like a whole nother thing if you want me to explain anything more. Because, like,
Yeah, I think one of us could either we do it at the intervention, or you could just have your own separate stream explaining your thought process, because it's like you're very vague and almost dodgy when it comes to like how you answer to the criticisms and questions that people give.
It's very arbitrary at times, and
I think
sometimes
that's
you do
kinda-
use appeals to emotion and appeals to authority. And I'm gonna let you finish, Minecraft, but one thing that I have also noticed is you use a lot of appeal to authorities because the director explicitly say that he wanted this to be an isekai survival monster thingamajig, whatchamacallit? Because I'm pretty sure, because I know, Kuru, are you by any means like an anime, aficionado, connoisseur, or Minecraft World, or Sea Monster Hoshi?
I am not. I mean, I've watched a fair amount of anime, but I would not say that I am like I am just burning through anime and watching what's hot in like the new season. I'm currently, I would not say. Where are you going
As
with
for
this?
me-
I'm curious.
It's because
Yes.
he brings up the point of an isekai survival story. I'm pretty sure a lot of those exist in anime, and I'm pretty sure, I'm just assuming, because I'm not really much of an anime guy. I just watch whatever I think looks good. I'm pretty sure that there are anime that fall under that same category and are still a lot better
As
written
far
than
we could get into a discussion of the isekai like genre, which would be for its own like thing.
the term itself
for-
has functionally been thrown around in general genre
Isekai
conventions.
essentially
akin to
just
If
means
any of
in
you-
another world.
yeah.
I
I
say
know,
something?
I know what an isekai is. Go ahead, Hoshi.
As for me, I'm more of a manga fanatic because I prefer manga or anime because with manga, it's like a living embodiment of what the author of the story wants to say, And because I enjoy it more, and also I love the fight scenes. I love the atmosphere of the manga in general.
Oh, that's fine too.
Mhm.
Like a manga, anime, whichever one. That's fine. That's fine.
I mean,
So at least for my but going back to what you most isekais, at least the most famous ones, don't tend to go with that angle. They're more so in the escapism angle. What as in very literal, as in the main character escaping from a life that they're not happy with through either happenstance or through willingness into a completely different thing where they can get another shot at getting a life they want. And a lot of the best isekais, as I mentioned, tend to make something about that. For example, Saga of Tanya the Evil is about someone, just this asshole businessman who is thrown into another world which with magic that essentially is going through its World War I equivalent. And in order to use the magic, he has to literally pray to the god that brought him here to begin with, and so he does it with explicitly out of spite. So it is relevant because the overarching, I guess, one of the overarching plot threads is literally about the being that brought him here. So it's relevant in a way. Sword Art Online Abridged makes its isekai angle relevant through, unlike the original Sword Art Online, Abridged manages to do it by making its take on Kirito, like, he is outright making full use of the escapism so that he can get away from the life that he currently has in his house. And it becomes a whole thing in season 2 of why did I throw everything away?
Yeah, I was kind of, I didn't want to bring Sword Art Online because it didn't come across as like a Monster Hunter type story that was also an isekai.
No, the reason I brought it up, I'm bringing up Sword Art Online Abridged, not Sword Art Online proper, which I feel can be a bit cheating. But I would recommend watching Sword Art Online Abridged. It is.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I love it.
Massive improvement over the original show.
Yeah, like one of my friends recommended that I watch the show and I was so bored. Like I finished the whole thing, but I was so bored with it. And then I discovered the Abridged and I'm like, oh, this is actually really, really good. I like this.
Yeah, it's It's also really funny.
It is. I love Kirito's god complex in the abridged. It's so funny to see.
Just open your menu.
You don't have to wonder where your god is. He's
He's
standing
right
in
here.
front
And he's fresh out of mercy.
of- That's my
As for
favorite.
me, to anyone wondering, since I'm from Europe, I watched a certain isekai-esque movie that was also made in Europe called Arthur and Minomiya. I know it's not an anime, but it's somewhat closer to it because of what it's trying to say. It's about a boy who's looking for his grandfather, and because that he finds out that there's this land who has people who are as small as ants. And because that the reason why he wants to get his grandfather back is because his grandmother cannot afford the house, and because that he has no other choice but to go to this land and find his grandfather. Other than that, he finds a group of people who not only become friends with him, but also forms enemies that are like his arch rivals, if you will.
Basically, what I guess I'm saying here to reel this back in, the point is the best isekais often make the isekai fact relevant in some way.
Yeah. So that's why, like, I just don't believe when I don't believe you, Vic, when you say that this is like an isekai story. Like, I really don't believe you.
Okay, he's technically correct, but it's not a good isekai story, at least in the angle of it
Yeah.
being an isekai, because, as I said, it serves absolutely no purpose.
Yeah, I was about to bring this up. Something like the Mario already technically is an isekai. Sonic has isekais before and they've made it work. Minecraft has had fan isekais before and it's worked. Monster Hunter doesn't really do that outside of crossovers, as you mentioned.
Hey, speaking of isekai, any of you guys know a movie called Forbidden Kingdom?
No.
Nope, not
It's
familiar
a
with it.
movie that's a retelling of Sun Wukong that has Jack Black in it.
Ah,
Jackie Chan.
Sounds interesting. Yeah. I guess at least now the only thing really left to do is to wrap this up.
Yeah. I was just gonna end it with the whole, like, I don't know how Vic could like defend. I don't know how you could defend something like this, and it is a bit tiresome hearing the same exact defenses as Minecraft World said. It's very, Vic, your defenses are sometimes very
It's very
vague,
circular reasoning.
exactly, and
it's
sometimes like the
it's
appeals to
circular and it's
authority.
vague.
Yeah, and the appeals to authority don't help because, like, just because, and he did this in the GXK debate too. Like, he said, "Oh, the directors wanted to do this, and he achieved it." So, like, yeah, the director is not always an all powerful god. Like, you can grant him that status if what he makes is coherent, but
Yeah,
this
like
isn't.
Takashi Yamazaki.
Yeah, but like, it's one thing when a creator. I'm assuming the creator of the movie, W.S. Anderson, tried to do something coherent and failed, and what's his face, Wingard, actively went against coherence and punished it in the movie. He punished people that actually did the right logical thing. Like characters in the movie, like Mikhail and the fat kid from GVK, they were, punished for.
Hey,
doing the smart
what
thing.
about people like Roland Emmerich?
He wasn't
I
trying
mean,
to
I
do
think-
something incoherent. So
His goal wasn't something
an
incoherent.
argument can be made. I'm sorry. An argument can be made that there's some parts of, like, there could have been like some parts of Paul Thomas Anderson's Monster Hunter that that probably could have been similar to what GXK did with Mikhail or something like that, potentially. And as far as Roland Emmerich goes, I mean, fucking hell, he made Moonfall.
Yeah,
that
I don't
movie,
think-
that movie was like.
yeah, like it's one thing to try and be
He
coherent
made
and fail.
10,000 BC for crying out loud.
Yeah, like it's one thing to try and be coherent and fail. It's quite another for you to be intentionally incoherent and punish coherence in the actual movie. That's why I always say that GVK and GXK are worse than even the worst Godzilla movies, because they actively punish people trying to be smart about things. So
You mean to tell me
Dude,
they're worse than the anime trilogy?
yes, I'll stand by that. Like at
I
least
would,
we could
I would
say
stand by that.
I personally
I would s-
disagree, but that's for a discussion about the anime trilogy for another time and
like,
another day.
I don't agree that it's like the worst. Like but if one could like if any of you could like convince me at any given point, then fine. But even still, even if you could say that it's like the one of the worst Godzilla movies of its kind, you could at least say that the director tried to do something coherent. Like there is like an attempt at it. Even if he fails, you could say that there was an attempt, which is I think less bad out of principle. It's less bad than just making it stupid on purpose and punishing people who try to be smart. I think that's just inherently worse.
I think that's just a personal thing with when it comes to Urani, because I have a very different stance on that. But again, another time, another day. And I think with that, I've said about all I can say. I think we've said all we can say. So I think
Yeah.
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 probably best to wrap this up now.
Intervention is
Yeah.
scheduled soon.
Yeah,
The
we'll
intervention-
schedule that
Intervention
intervention.
shall
Hunter.
happen.
It's Zimcast.
Somebody, one of us needs to alert Zim about it, just so he could like figure out when he could do this.
It would be funny.
Yeah. Also, if we're gonna start chilling, I think I'd like to go first because I have work in
Alright.
about 10 minutes. So
All right.
yeah. Leading into the adaptation bit, I'm very happy that this preceded my next live stream, which is going to be on Tuesday. Yes, I have started streaming, so a new member of the Zimcast cinematic universe has entered, and I've unintentionally dragged a friend of mine with me. So, yay!
Hey, is it okay if I can join your live stream?
Maybe. If you have anything to say, then cool. The topic is a discussion on War of the Worlds specifically, so the original book and its many adaptations. So if you have anything to say about War of the Worlds, if you want to talk about War of the Worlds, then join. It's going to be fun. I'm probably going to be listening to an audiobook of it tomorrow. So, yeah. And also on Instagram, I have finished my first section of Antediluvian Park, like the profiles and designs. I'm going to be taking a break from that for a bit to either work on my Planet of Dinosaurs remake or start reworking my Rogues Gallery for Neos Goddess of Monsters. So keep an eye out on Instagram. And also go play any of the Monster Hunter games. Monster Hunter's awesome. Nargacuga, my beloved. Bye.
Peace
Bye.
out.
Okay, Willie's gone. All right. All right, so who's next? Who's ready to show next? Anybody, please. Any takers?
I mean,
I guess
Uh,
Vic can go.
okay. I'll just shout out that. Let's see. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Vic Monstrous. Follow my arts and stuff. Check out my Ko-fi page. I do have commissions open for kaiju illustrations and the like.
Also,
Monstrous
Vic,
or Vic. Yeah,
Vic, I sent you a song.
send me a song. Oh, is it the opening?
Yes.
Or what was it?
Yes, it's from the opening.
Okay, I'll listen to that right quick. But other than that, I guess check out my stuff. 100% down for that intervention stream because it sounds like a lot of fun. And anyone who knows me knows that I love fun. Go, because it is on sale. Go get Monster Hunter on Amazon Prime. It's on sale, so go check that out.
I'm really sorry, Kuru. I'm really sorry you had to deal with this today.
I did this to myself. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess I'll just have to go.
all right.
But before you go, Kayuku, any thoughts on the human characters I sent to you on personal chat
You
on your
made
Discord?
Douglas Gordon, and therefore it is a good cast.
Ah,
But
sweet.
also just the characters,
They look good. You're You've done a good job making them all relevant, like stand out. I would just want to know what they do. I would like to just learn more about what their professions are, and then judge them off that angle. I'd like to wait to learn more.
Okay, I did send you on the art critique on what their profession is.
Okay, I'll look at that once the stream is over.
But hey, Black Rudy, have you at least seen the couple of fan arts I sent on art in general?
Yes, I have. They're really good stuff.
Any thoughts on them?
Yeah, I think. Well, actually, not really a lot of thoughts in particular. I think it's just it's as good as all the other stuff that you made, which is already pretty good. Just the overall style. It's a very unique kind of style. I don't want to see. I would want to see it animated.
Well, I can tell you, it will be very manga-like.
Nice.
But other than that, to any people who want to follow me, you can always follow me on Instagram, where I go by Hoshi0071. You can follow me on Twitter, where I go by Antonio Sipple, aka Hoshi0071 again, or Antonio Sip 54255. And on Blue Sky, you can also follow me as Antonio Sip 54255, and on Reddit as well. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And Sea Monster, if you want to, when will you bar to do a live stream on Rampage?
I have to figure that out right now, because I mean to give it a rewatch, to kind of prep for it. So I can't really give any specific dates yet.
When it comes, I will join you because I really like Rampage.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be sure to let you guys know when it happens. But as of right now, I just don't have it. I can't say when it's going to come yet.
It will come.
Also, to any of you wondering, the new 3 Days Grace song just dropped. I recommend it.
All right.
But other than that, have a wonderful day, guys.
See you, man.
All right. Okay, man.
And Black Rooney, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Wait, why are you singling me out?
Well, I mean, since you're probably the most angriest of all of us in this live stream, I thought that you should also have a nice day.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate the sentiment.
But Kayukuro, you're also still the funniest guy I met in these live streams.
That's my boy. Anyways, as far as for myself, I don't have much in terms of like things to shill. I'm here talking, giving my weird takes half the time. As far as I'm just here on Zimcasts and on Sea Monster stream. If you join Zim's server, I'm there on occasion when I'm not off writing my stuff or working. As far as recommendations from myself, go watch Gurren Lagann, go watch Lego Monkey Kid, go play the Monster Hunter games. Don't watch the movie. If you want to watch a Monster Hunter adaptation, go watch Legends of the Guild. It's on Netflix. So is Gurren Lagann. Watch Death Note. Watch Uma Musume Cinderella Grey. And that's it from me. Have a nice day.
I love Death Note.
Drink some water. Hug your mother. Peace.
All right. Well, then I guess it's my turn then, since I'm the last one here.
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. So Blackaroonie, you can find me Twitter, Discord. You can find me on Helldivers 2 on PlayStation. If you want to kill some Xeno scum, that's the wrong game. I have Space Marine 2, so like if you have Space Marine 2, and Helldivers 2, you can help me for humanity's sake, fight for humanity, the Imperium of Man, whatever. I fight every other week, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. I don't have I don't have a schedule. I just play whenever I can. New video came out recently. The Zack Snyder video. It earned me so many subscribers that I blazed past Sea Monster. So you're never gonna catch me. 2K views in like less than a week.
Okay.
I actually wasn't expecting it to blow up as fast as it did. It's like my third fastest growing video on my channel, so I'm really happy about that. I'm currently working on multiple videos simultaneously, so that I don't get burnt out on the GVK video. 2 of them are on Invincible. One of them is on Fantastic Four First Steps, and I'm waiting for Fantastic Four First Steps to come out on digital so that I can fully release it. But I have a script; it's complete. I still need to finish that Invincible script. The first Invincible video, it's gonna come out really soon since editing is pretty much 95% done. Should come out within the week, if not the next week. And I might not be streaming all that often. I might not be on streams all that often. I keep saying that, and yet I keep popping up to streams. I know I can't help myself. Because whenever Vic shows up and says something like what he usually says, I just feel a moral obligation to show up. But yeah, check out my stuff. Patreon, same thing. Rumble. I have not posted music as I said I was going to, but I am working on some stuff so that I can upload stuff more consistently and just have it at the ready. Trying to perfect my craft, because as someone who doesn't study music theory, music is very hard. And other than that, yeah, that's about it. Oh, and buy me a coffee. That's another thing. I almost forgot about that one. Just, yeah. And if you guys can get me to a monetizable number in my channel, I will start streaming again. So just stay tuned for that. That's about it.
One more shout out for myself is thanks to everyone because my channel just reached 400 subscribers. So that's another thing for myself as well. Getting closer to monetization, maybe. So
Yeah. Awesome. And and I guess it's my turn. Then we'll probably finally shut this thing down. This has been your host.
Who are you?
I'm your host, the Sea Monster. For starters, thank you guys for coming on here, especially Kuru and Vic for partaking in the little chit chat, little debate-a-rooney on the Monster Hunter movie that Paul W.S. Wes Anderson made.
Oh yeah. Like I was confused when you guys said Wes Anderson, because isn't that the guy that did Grand Budapest Hotel and the Royal Tenenbaums? Because I was thinking he's a good director. He one of the Grand Budapest Hotel is one of my favorite movies, which I think you guys should watch.
I finally figured it out. W.S. Anderson and Wes Anderson are the same person.
No, they're not.
Oh no,
it's an
Wes
alien.
Anderson. Okay.
But yeah. Obviously, looks like my subscriber count is going up a bit. So thank you all for subbing to my channel and helping this channel grow. Essentially, not sure when the next live stream will be or what it will be on. I'll be sure to signpost it when it happens. Working on my Nosferatu video that should be out by October. So that's the objective right now. So. Looking forward to getting that out for you folks. And follow me on here. Follow me on Twitter, Sea Monster KCI. And obviously you can find me on the Zim server pretty much, as well as Gojin server on the Discord. So I'm on there on occasion. And as far as anything I would recommend, go check out the new Naked Gun movie. It good. It funny, really funny. So there's that. Do not watch Paul W. Anderson's Monster Hunter movie. Please don't. Spare yourselves the pain. But that's about it. Once again, thanks for watching or listening. See you all later. Take care. Peace.
See ya. Thanks for having me.